Again tonight.
What?
Today, we have invited prestigious the native son of Minnesota, going back to my digs, the hallowed grounds of Washington State. Jason Fitzer is on with us today, and I'm
Hello.
extremely excited because he's brought us a monster hunting card game. Am I describing that correct?
It's more like it's more like a monster battling card game.
Okay, that's even worse because just setting the stage here. The game that I've been working on for the last few months is also a monster battling card game.
Uh-oh.
I have not wanted to put us head to head like this, but because we had that cancellation, we have to fill it in with something. So we're not going to ask our live chat to vote one or two to like say whose game is better at any point. But if you want to spam twos at some point, feel free, audience.
I don't know. In this game, do you get to win curtains?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Is that something Lane's game has, Dale?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because when you finish the game, the king bequeaths you the kingdom. Remember?
Oh,
Which includes everything,
including the curtains.
including the curtains.
Right. Okay.
That's where that comes from.
That's like an inside joke on an inside joke. I love it.
I know, but I love that Monty Python sketch.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That is all.
Maybe this lobby is too public. I've been joined by Yevgeny.
Uh-oh.
What? Okay.
You can make it password protected, and then just give us the password, and then only people watching the stream will know.
Yeah.
It's a maximum of 3, so if you hop in, no more Yevgenys will hop in.
Okay,
Okay.
what are we looking for? What is the title?
Can you search by my username, which would be Groovebot?
Groovebot.
Otherwise-
There we go. Heck yeah.
Are you found me?
Yes.
I heard your username was GroupBot.
Groovebot.
Oh,
Okay, that's
this layout
so
looks
much
sweet.
better.
I did a couple quality of life things on here to make it go a little faster. The little rotary things in the middle are just dice rollers. So if you click a number, it will roll that many dice.
Cool.
And then if you hit the X, it'll clear them. That way we're not chucking dice across the table and knocking over stacks of cards and chasing them around to figure out what the values are.
What is the name of the server? I wasn't paying attention earlier.
My username is Groovebot. I don't actually know what the game or server is called. It might just be called Groovebot server.
Cool.
I did not find it under GrooveBot, so.
I just typed in G and it popped right up. So.
What?
Hey, there you
Somebody
go.
must be friends with Jason. Do you need another player, or am I good just watching this one?
I think it is probably played best 2-player, at least for teaching.
Okay, then I will hang back and just watch Mark and Lane play.
So it's me v Lane.
Gotcha. Whoa.
Just-
Who said anything about Lane playing? I cannot be an objective player of this game due to our flaming hot beef. I have brought in a ringer for my team. Rebecca, would you like to introduce yourself? Wow, if that's a no. Okay.
Sorry, I had the microphone off and I couldn't. I was still trying to spell
the
groove,
mute-
but
The mute button.
The ancient foe. Oh,
The
by the way,
ancient
I'm
foe.
actually in the game. Should I drop out here? Am I like taking up a spot?
Yes.
I am a spectator.
You are. I think
Oh,
I just
no.
made it. I think I just made it a 3-person room.
Okay. I'll
So-
bail. I'll watch this on YouTube then. Oh wait, how do I even do that? There we go. Main menu. All right. Sorry, Rebecca. I'm bouncing.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
Oh yeah. So you can go to GrooveBot now. There should be a open spot for you.
Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, I'm lovingly panning across the field of these well-designed components.
The Lane's game will probably win because it'll probably be easier to learn.
Oh, but you've got sweet icons though. Oh, mine are just like white with like a hue on them. Ugh.
Yeah, I try my best because I am an artist. I try my best not to overly art the game until it's like finished being designed. But you can see I kind of failed at that a little bit.
I think that you have to love what you're doing. If ever like you're not enjoying yourself during the process, you're either in the publishing process, which is necessary, or you are I don't know. I think that like having some love, like really enjoying being in there, helps a lot.
Yeah, and
I just really didn't want to have to remake any art was the big thing.
Yeah.
So
but
like,
you're gonna have to anyway, probably, right?
You're gonna have to anyway, but like the biggest thing was I wanted the character portraits. As you see, I finished one. I wanted the character portraits to be the very last thing I started doing because I felt like I would get really carried away with those.
Yeah.
And they'd be really time consuming. And then if it didn't work for the format or whatever, I had to change it, then that would be a huge bummer.
Yeah.
Smart move.
Well, I will say, as someone who suffers from the same instinct to start drawing before everything else is finished, I mean, maybe this is by way of excuse, but I think tabletop games could use a little bit more of function informed by form. There tends to be a lot of like impreciseness that ends up in game designs because they couldn't solve the presentation part, and because they didn't address it early enough in the process. And you can kind of see the little crunchy edges of some games that are really great, but you're like, oh, I can tell they would have thought of this earlier if they started designing components earlier. You know?
Yeah, I think I was playing, and no shade towards this game because I love it, but we were playing Port Royale the other day, and I was like, this game could really benefit from some better art. Like, it's not that the art is not functional; it's just it's not informative either. It's like it's very like cryptic. You just kind of like have to know what every symbol means.
Yeah.
You have to read the entire instruction manual to have any idea what the cards actually do.
Oh, rough.
Which, you know, normally you do kind of read the instructions before you start playing. But like in the case of my game, I tried really hard to have the design remind people what things do, and when possible, like verbatim say what something does right on the card instead of like trying to have them remember. But, you know, then you can end up with a card that's full of words, which looks gross.
Right.
So
right.
it's a delicate balance.
So was Rebecca able to hop on and find your server?
Yep.
Yes, there are now 3 of us in here.
Good.
Let's see. Is there a way I can turn on like a God mode for myself so that I can see what everyone has, or should I just make it so we can all see what everyone has? Is this kind of like an open,
in Tabletop Simulator,
an on the table kind of mode?
You can choose a different player, a different character, and there's Observer, which I think you are, but there's also another gray, like a darker gray. Is
Black
like
Game Master.
There you go. You should be able to see everyone's hands and stuff now.
Okay, cool.
And so sometimes we do that sometimes I do that for the benefit of the stream, but since I'm playing, we'll let viewers have my perspective, and you can just provide comments or make jokes about dramatic irony that that we'll know later.
That sounds good.
Cool.
So I can walk through a little bit like game setup and kind of like what the average turn looks like. Basically, if you've ever played King of Tokyo, the way the monster hiring in this game works is a little bit like buying items in King of Tokyo, where over here we have cohesively this whole like blue and orange zone is called the tavern, and it is where available monsters, which is like where the temp name from the game comes from, Monster Mercenaries. This is kind of like where they show up, and when somebody buys one, when the next person's turn begins, you just kind of fill the space of whatever's been purchased. So let's just kind of go over the board first. This is where the available monsters are. This is the deck of items here. Everyone's turn begins by them drawing an item.
Okay.
Right.
And then there are these 10 unique heroes that everyone can pick. I think probably for the sake of this demonstration, I should kind of pick them for you guys, or at least narrow them down if that's okay, because some of them are a little more elaborate than others.
Sure.
This one's a personal favorite of mine, this red one. is kind of like more of like an aggro attacking kind of hero. This one is pretty fun. It's like very focused around income and gold generation. This one has to do a lot with dice rolling and kind of like luck related things. So I like this one a lot. And then this one's pretty straightforward too. So let's just pick from these four. Basically, what every hero is like is a set of 3 cards. And so you have this kind of top card, which is sort of the footnotes of what that hero does.
Okay.
And then at the bottom, it has like a little blurb about the 2 different monsters in that set. So these together, all of your heroes, they're called elites, and so that covers like the lieutenant, which is the one with the little orange mark in the corner, and the commander, which is the one with the purple mark in the corner. And the way you win the game is by destroying the other person's commander, which is revealed after you defeat their lieutenant. So you'd start the game with, your active elite being, this guy face up. And then you see the little income sheet down at the bottom. That is how much gold you draw at the beginning of your turn. And so if you have the lieutenant out, the orange track there, you gain 4 gold at the beginning of each turn. And for each mercenary you have in your employ, you get 1 less gold at the beginning of your turn. So if you start your turn with a full board of 4 mercenaries, you get no money. So you kind of like trade board presence for like the kind of comeback mechanic of making more money if you don't have any monsters in your employ.
Sure.
Similarly, if you buy a champion, which are these orange ones, they usually do cooler stuff, but they cost 2 per turn. So if you are if you have a lieutenant and you manage to buy a champion on a lieutenant's income, they will handicap your income pretty fast. But having one at the beginning of the game can also be pretty good for you. So depending on what the card is. The cost of the mercenaries are in the upper right corner of the card. For the sake of Tabletop Simulator, I like to use this counter for gold.
Yeah.
If you want, you can use the physical coins, but it's a little annoying dragging them around on Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
And then, so a turn will basically start with you drawing an item. The blue items are generally like support items. They'll either like heal somebody or provide some defensive bonus or something like that. The red items they damage people. And the green ones kind of do like random, more like utility sort of stuff.
Okay.
I just made a huge mess at the table. But the interesting thing about the items too is that if that item provides no use to you, if it doesn't really work for your current situation, that every item has a sell value in the upper right corner, which just you can sell it at any point and it'll contribute to like your overall income for that turn. Generally, if something gives you a lot of gold, it also has a very high value in terms of its use, so it's kind of like a tough decision sometimes. But yeah, so your turn starts with you drawing an item, and then you take your income, and then the next kind of like main phase, you can really do things in any order.
Okay.
So there are no like phases like there are in Magic or anything like that. It's just all of these monsters. Everything has one action. So we go over the icons on the card, like this hero here, Zulgaru. That little arrow icon by his ability, that is like an active ability. So in order to use that ability, you just sort of like tap him, push him into like the exhausted state, which what I do for that is instead of turning them sideways in Magic, I just push them up 1 space.
Oh, sure, that makes sense.
Because these are like the turret-sized cards, so they get a little awkward when they're turned sideways. But there's some different abilities on the cards. This Volatile Vandal here, like he kind of has we can just sort of cover these as we go. I can walk through what the different monsters do. If you have any questions, let me know. Like the Volatile Vandal, he has that like kind of question mark on his ability. That means like to perform that ability, you roll a dice, and then that ability actually has different outcomes based on your dice roll.
Ah, okay.
And then he has like a skull icon. That's what happens when he is destroyed. And then there's also on this Opalwood Ent, there's like a little sword icon. That is an action that takes place after a successful combat.
Okay.
By successful, I mean you deal at least 1 point of damage. And now to what I think is one of the more interesting mechanics of the game, which is the actual combat. Let's say you're fighting. This Vault Vandal wants to just do damage to the enemy lieutenant. The way it works is Vault Vandal has 3 attack. So instead of that just doing wait, hold on one sec. I'm reading something very important really quick. So instead of it just doing 3 damage, what you do is you actually roll 3 dice. And then the amount of damage you do is each die that is over the enemy's defense value.
Okay.
So the defense value is the one in the middle. So in this case, if you were attacking this Revan Darkrain guy, you'd use 3. You got the 3 swords, so you'd roll 3 dice, but only one of these is a 4, which is higher than 3.
Right.
So the 3 and the 1 would both miss because it's rolled against your opponent's defense value. The 4 would go through though, so you would do 1 point of damage to the hero. In turn, the hero would hit you back by rolling 2 dice of his own because he has an attack value of 2. The mercenaries generally have lower defense, so the 4 and the 2 there would do 2 damage to this one. So it's kind of like Hearthstone. Whenever you attack with something, for the most part, there's usually like a clash. And so you just have to kind of like weigh your risk of like how much is keeping this monster alive worth to you, and so on and so forth. So there are some unique attack styles. Like there's this card over here by everyone's like battle line that will show what the different attack styles do. There's different weapons by the attack value, and they actually have different meanings. So like the heroes have a golden sword, and some of the mercenaries do too. And all that means is that you just can't attack something else that also has a golden sword. So the heroes can't attack each other directly. They need to hire monsters to do it. And then the pierce, which is the spear icon, that just ignores 1 defense, so it kind of wins ties in a battle. So if you fight something that has a defense value of 2 and you have pierce damage, then a 2 will actually hit instead of deflecting.
Right.
Ranged is only counterable. They only counterattack if they also have ranged. And then cleave is a little bit interesting. That's like where, like, let's say I'll just copy this guy twice. This is kind of a mess. I'll just reset the board after we're done with this.
Sure.
I'll just reload the game. But if something has cleave, like this guy I'm using as an example, he would attack this other guy, and you'd roll 3 dice. And in this case, those are all 3 hits against this because it has a defense value of 2. So that would kill this, but it would also this would counterattack. So this would roll back 3. So your target does counterattack you, but your attack, if you have cleave, also hits neighbors of that card. And it doesn't work where, like, because I did 3 damage to this guy also just automatically takes 3 damage. The attack value is actually rolled against each card's defense individually. Okay. So if this was something with a higher defense, this 3 might have missed.
So that gives relevance to their placement in your row.
Yes. Cleave, I will say, is pretty rare. There aren't that many monsters that have cleave. The only other thing about cleave too that's important to note is that once I finish the actual like boards for this game that you slot your monsters into and stuff, the elites are physically placed apart from the rest of the battlefield. So cleave does not apply to heroes.
Okay.
Because they're not like in the battlefield with everything else.
Right, they're up on the hill with the buglers.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's a pretty solid overview. I feel like there are some traits that you'll happen to see on cards, like this Opalwood Ent has a trait above his name that says Energized. I will kind of explain those as we go.
Sure.
Energized means that these charges, they get a charge at the beginning of every turn automatically. Monsters that are not energized, they can gain charges by doing specific things or when specific things happen. But if they're energized, they just passively get charges. And in the upper left corner of a monster too is that shows their charge capacity and the charge they start with. So there's like some monsters have, like this guy here, this Opalwood Mimic starts with 2 charges and has a total capacity of 3 charges.
Sure.
That's everything I can think of at the moment. There's the counters that you'll use. There's adding defense. So some things will gain will give either a temporary or permanent attack buff or debuff. There's the same for attack. These are double-sided. So there's a +3 and a +1.
Sure.
-1 and a -3. Damage counters are double-sided, 1 and 3. This is a stun. When something is stunned, you just have to consume that thing's action to remove the stun. So it basically just saps a turn from that unit.
Yeah.
And then silence works kind of like it does in Hearthstone, where like you basically just treat the card as empty. So it has its stats at the bottom, including its attack style, but its traits and all of its abilities are null as long as it's silenced.
Okay. I do want to say real quick the your modifier counters, the double-sidedness of them, and the fact that they're asymmetric is really useful for legibility.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
In terms of like which way they're facing.
Yeah, because it's not just it's 1 and 3, and you can read the 1 or 3, but from a distance you see which the right angle rectangle which way it's pointing. Also, the more you play it, the more quickly glanceable it is. I don't know how that was intentional, but that's cool. That's a cool little feature of the physicality of the game.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I never really thought about it too much. I was more, especially with the sword, I was like, is it possible to make this double-sided because it's so asymmetrical?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted first and foremost for it to just, I'm always kind of thinking about, I'm going to reload this real quick if that's okay. I'm always thinking about like production too. So I'm just like, this game already, I'm like trying to figure out ways to make it less pieces. And it's tough. It's something I'm always just like trying to keep in mind.
Yeah.
But you could probably go ahead and pick your heroes. Feel free to pick one of the more complicated ones. They just
you said this lavender guy here. This is you said something
that one's really fun.
More about randomness and die rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
up for that.
The commander of that set uses what's called magic dice, which they come up. There's some other mercenaries that use them, and then there's also some items that use them. The way magic dice work is you roll them. I have this little dice roller down here behind your battle line. If something says roll 3 magic dice, you'd roll these values. They're basically like pre-rolled dice values that you can swap in for other dice rolls during your turn.
That's cool.
So if somebody else rolls, if you fight somebody, your guy only has 1 health left, and they will counterattacking. They roll a dice high enough to kill him. You could swap in a 2 and say, nope, that doesn't hit, and it would consume that value. It would consume that magic dice for the turn. But
okay.
You basically get to like rearrange dice rolls as you go. And then if you have a 6 that you don't actually spend on improving a dice roll, it heals him at the end of the turn.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the other guy, anytime anybody attacks and just misses with every single die, then you get a charge on him, and then you can use that charge to damage something.
Okay. I'm gonna have to be refamiliarized with the charge mechanics, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah, Jason, the charges don't inherently do anything, correct? It's only like they will allow you can spend them to do things that it says on the card, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And in some cases, you can like transfer them between monsters and stuff like that.
Here we go. And like you were saying, there's no phases, so that can happen at any point after those initial things that have to happen every turn?
Correct.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. This is not to jut right back into like design philosophy, but like one of the things I really wanted as like a staple for this game in terms of like the way I thought about it and the way I wanted it to feel to people is like a lot of times when I'm teaching, people ask like, can I just do this now? Can I just do this? Can I just do and I'm like, I want it to be a yes you can game and not a no you can't game.
Right.
And so like that even applies to like attacking enemy monsters. I try as much as possible to not have a monster that like does something unique upon being attacked, because then the problem you hit there is like you buy something and you're just like, I buy this guy and my turn's over. And then what the problem with that is that next person goes and they're like, well, I'm going to attack that guy you just bought. And he's like, well, here's what happens when you do that. Like the thing that I like is when you buy something, you can use it immediately. There's no like summoning sickness or anything like that. So like everything has haste. And the nice thing about that is that you're tutoring everyone at the table of what a card does just by buying it and just using it immediately. And there are some things that are passive effects, and you can just kind of read those out loud to people. But like one of the things I'm trying to avoid is somebody plays something and then everybody takes turns picking it up and looking at what it does.
Right.
Like with tiny like 5-point text, right?
Yeah.
Like all the text on
like that a
in
lot
this game is 9-point or
very
bigger.
Frequently when I learn new games, I like understand why this is happening, but like it's a first playthrough is like just to get familiar, and then you have to memorize what all the things do because they could show up at any time. So I really like the idea of it just being introduced to you immediately, and so then you don't have to spend any of your time ignorant of what's possible. Right. Which is is a common frustration for card games with a lot of characters and stats and interactions. Yeah,
and it is just like there's a lot of times I've wanted this game to be something else and been like, I just got to make it simpler. I just got to like take all these rules out. I got to take all these abilities out. I got to like just trim it down, right? But then like at a certain point, I'm like, I love the idea of this being a game that is like Magic or like Keyforge or like Hearthstone, but like supposedly more approachable.
Sure.
And I think in a lot of ways it is, but like I also took a hard look at like who this game is for, and it isn't really for people who don't already like those games.
Jason, I was gonna say like the thing that I love about this, and I'm excited to see if I'm right about it, is that there was something that was kind of like enchanting about the first like month or so of Hearthstone that I played, where I was like, oh, like every trading decision is really interesting. But ultimately I figured it out, and like right now, like that's a pretty easy part of the game because it's very simple. Here, this feels like a nice level up on that concept where the combat is a little bit more complex and each trading decision is a little bit harder. And so, yeah, like I could hardly imagine somebody who has never played any of those games coming in here, but as somebody who has, it's really exciting.
Thanks. Yeah, and I the dice rolling really, I tried to lean heavily on that also, not just to make it like, it's not really to make it less competitive, although it inherently does. But it's also like it's harder to care about the competitive nature of a game like this when it is all enclosed in a set, right? It's one thing if you come into a duel with someone with your favorite deck that you've meticulously constructed and be like, I want my deck to be the best deck of all of my friends. And then there's this game where it's like, I think I'm going to play this hero this time. And, we'll just see what monsters come up in the tavern. It's like a different experience every time because it's random, the opportunities that pop up. And even within those opportunities that pop up, there's a lot of like emergent stuff that happens based on just like, well, that's not how I thought that dice roll was going to go. And so players kind of have to find themselves pivoting a lot. It's hard to really like know how a turn's going to go because of the dice rolling mechanic.
And it sounds like
usher us along here because I know we
Yeah.
only have about a half hour more of your time here, Jason. So why don't we get into it?
Yeah. And I might be able to add a little tail in that time I'm available. We'll see. But yeah, let's get going.
I can't remember which one it was. I think earlier was the one that you said was simple and straightforward, and I remember which one it was.
Rebecca, a little hard to hear you at the moment. Is there anything you can do about your audio?
Let's say.
Is it better?
Not
still kind of
not
rough.
by much.
We heard you pretty good when you came on, so I'm not sure what's different.
Could be just bad connection, maybe.
Yeah, it might not be anything you can do about it.
But I would say one of these three heroes is probably a good pick. My personal favorite, I think, of the three is probably the red one. But yeah, the red one. I'll tell you what the red one does as we're going. So you probably want to flip it sideways, just because the rest of the cards are, Oh, and also, yeah, you should probably change your rotation degrees to 90 degrees up at the top in.
Yeah, it's
that's what I
extremely
do.
handy.
It helps
one of
a
the things
lot.
about Tabletop Simulator, like Jason, you were talking about, like the counter versus the tokens, and that's a very good accommodation for Tabletop Simulator, because it can be hard to playtest a game in Tabletop Simulator, and like players have different friction points when they literally can't. They don't have two hands, and they literally can't pick anything up. You just have to.
Right.
And some things become way easier in Tabletop Simulator, and you have to remember that that action will actually be harder in real life, and then some things are the opposite, and being cognizant of that's really helpful. And so I like that 90-degree option, because it makes a lot of that tedium just way less frequent. But also, as designers, we have to make it feel like what it's going to feel like when you print it and and get it around a table. But also you have to just accommodate, sort of like how paper prototyping has to accommodate for your eventual video game design. We were talking about this in the Discord recently. It's not always going to be 1-to-1, and you gotta have to just like read that difference. So that's, anyway, I was just impressed by just that note you said earlier about how just to accommodate that. It's not just to make it video gamey, it's to solve a problem that doesn't exist when you'd actually have these components.
Right, exactly. And we'll here, let's get that guy out from under too. So what was I gonna say next? Oh, I think we could probably just roll to see who goes first.
Sure. Just hit a 1 there.
Yep, just hit 1 to roll 1 die.
Ooh,
that's pretty promising. Oh, there you go. All right.
Okay. Ooh,
It's like
this is
it's
a really
like it's
handy.
Mark.
This is a handy little counter.
Yeah, it helps to not make a humongous mess on the table.
Yeah.
It's like it gets so annoying trying to like actually manage the dice. See, so you'd get 4 gold because you have nothing in your employ.
Right. That's one piece of feedback, is that this token covers the amount that I actually get.
Oh yeah, you can delete that if you want. I don't actually ever remember to move that token.
Right, because you can just make the calculation each time you look at it. I'll just set it aside for now. But all right, and so then these are the ones available. I have 4 buckaroos to spend, so I can only afford one of these.
Correct.
And
yeah, and there are some new concepts we haven't talked about yet on some of those, so feel free to ask.
Sure.
Like this Quillback guy, I think, is the only one with new mechanics that we haven't talked about yet. He's Protector, so you can see he has like kind of a unique border and a little shield in the corner.
Yep.
Protector, basically your taunt minion. So if you have something that's a Protector, you cannot attack their hero or any of their other minions until all of the Protector monsters are destroyed.
Okay.
Or the Protector monster is silenced. That works too.
I'm going to take this Shady Smith because it looks like it's got a fun feature, and then I don't have to learn any new rules, which is exciting.
These are also color-coded. Like the yellow in the corner there is to indicate that he's like a worker that makes money in some way. the blue ones are defensive or supportive. The green ones are like more unique utility, removal, control kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the red ones are just raw attack, like beefy stats.
Sure. Okay, I've made my purchase, and then Rebecca buys one before I do my next thing, right?
Oh, you
Or for
gotta
anyone.
draw an item too. You draw an
right,
item
right.
at the beginning of every turn.
Right.
That is something that is a lot easier to remember to do when you're actually playing at a table.
All right. I guess I'll keep this.
That would be pretty good with your hero.
And do I assign it to a hero, or I just set it aside into an
Nope,
inventory?
you can just keep it in your hand.
Okay.
And you can hold a maximum of 3 items. If you have more than 3 items, you have to discard down to 3 at the end of your turn.
Okay. And so it's actually in my hand, in which case the other players don't get to see what I have.
Correct. And you can play it immediately if you want. There's no wait time on them. You can play as many as you want. You can sell as many as you want. But
well,
yeah.
I guess I will play it immediately and give 2 charge to this, because it's not like it expires, right?
Right. Unless something removes it, which is pretty rare.
Sure. Okay.
And then I think there's also, I definitely need like to evaluate the like who goes first, what benefit is there of going first, what benefit is there of not going first, that kind of situation. But for now, the only real rule is just that if you cannot attack a player who has not taken a turn yet.
Yeah. Well, it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, the advantage of going first is I get my pick of the litter, but then I also put out my monster first, so that I'm at slightly disadvantaged because then my opponent can. So that feels sort of balanced. I'm not sure which one, which is more advantageous.
Yeah, it hasn't seemed too problematic so far. So, but cool. So that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like you can't give you can only give an enemy hireling extra strength for money. So she does not have any of those yet. So yeah, that's probably it.
Okay.
Now, what was your name again? Was it Rebecca?
Yes.
All right, it's your turn.
So, okay, so do I draw the items first?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh no, that's not what I meant to do.
Yeah, you just gotta pull it off real quick. If you hold click, it drags the whole stack.
Okay, did I read that fast?
And then
So you can drag it to the bottom of the screen and then hit F to flip it over. So now it's in your hand. Looks like maybe. Oh, okay, I can see it. Cool.
And I cannot.
So that one, you see where it says on hand? That's a unique ability that items can have, where you can actually use them during an opponent's turn. But that one's probably not super useful at this moment. And what your hero does, I don't think I've explained this yet. Maybe it makes enough sense, but so if the hero attacks a minion directly, and you roll doubles of any sort, that like attack icon, if you roll doubles while you're attacking something, it will just insta kill it. But it's also risky attacking with your hero because your hero can take damage in the process. But in addition to that, all of the minions that you buy all have +1 attack, but they all have a trait called Reckless. And what Reckless does is every time you miss with a die, you actually take 1 point of damage. So all the minions hurt more, but they also can hurt themselves while attacking. And then that ability goes away when this lieutenant dies and the commander comes out. But
that's wild. So your gameplay really changes a lot as that character's like champion dies or elite dies. Cool.
Yeah.
There's kind of like you sort of enter a second phase, and that's often when we see the most like comebacks. Is like you get more income as well when your commander comes out. So like on the income sheet, there's like a separate track for commander. So your commander will have a base income of 6 gold.
Oh, you sneaky dog! You got a little catch-up mechanic there. Very cool.
Yep.
So,
there used to be 3. There used to be a lieutenant, a captain, and a commander, but the games just took way too long. And it was too hard to design a set of 3 heroes versus 2.
So I purchased my monster before I drew my card, But Rebecca now, if you've sort of said that whatever she drew was maybe not that useful. It might be worthwhile to sell that card to buy a more expensive monster, although they do cost more. But that's an option for you, I think.
It's a good card. It's just it's not readily useful at this moment.
Well, games like this, you can't usually do much on the first turn, and maybe I want to keep that card in my hand for later use.
Yeah. Let's see. And so because you're a very attack focused hero, my recommendation would be probably to go with the Twin Spirit, because that card is very just like cheap raw damage. But this portal Gazer is also really great because it's ranged, so it can't be counterattacked. And in addition to that, it also can make those magic dice where you can like fix a roll outcome, which for you is really good because a bad roll will kill your monsters. So it's up to you. Just do a big old chunk of damage right up front with that guy, or
right here.
Yep, right there is good. And so this would have an extra strength because of your hero's ability.
3, so I put 3 times.
Yep, you go down to 1. Yep.
Okay.
And
so
then
now comes the part where we do the rest of the turn, but I still go first in terms of who I place out here, right?
Say that again.
So
and she can actually attack. She can actually act and attack right now too, before her turn's up.
Cool.
Now that you've taken a turn, you can fighting can commence.
Right. But it's not who. Do I still decide which of these to place out here to attack first, or?
No. So these just stay in your battle line, and when you take an action, decide to attack, you just like push it up, but just keep it right here.
Okay.
And then it's not like it's more like Hearthstone where you can attack something directly instead of like Magic where you declare attackers and blockers kind of a thing. All of these everything you have is available to be attacked at any time.
No, sure, I understand. I'm saying like literally what happens now.
So she purchased a monster that is very capable of attacking you. So now she can attack with her hero. She could attack your Shady Smith because he does not have a golden sword. So the heroes can actually attack any of the mercenaries that don't have honor.
Oh, I see. So my turn was over. We were not threading actions here.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, I didn't
exactly.
understand that I could have attacked, although I could have only attacked the lieutenant, which probably wouldn't have gone well.
Yeah. And you couldn't, because like I was describing, like at least the current rule is if you are first player, you cannot attack somebody who's not taken a turn yet.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay. So
you can give them a second to set up so that you can't like do 3 or 4 damage to their hero before they take their first turn, kind of a thing.
Okay. I was under the impression it was like a choose your fighter, and then those two attack. Do you know what I mean? But it's not that at all. Okay, I get it.
Correct.
All right.
Yep. So yeah, you can, Rebecca, you can choose who to hit with your monsters. Your lieutenant's only going to be able to attack the non-elite one. But then this Twin Spirit could do a great job of hurting his hero.
We'll do that. Yeah, do that.
What was that?
Sorry. So I'm going to Spirit.
You're going to attack the lieutenant.
Okay.
All right. So you would roll 4,
Okay.
and Mark would roll 2. And so in this case, you do 2 points of damage because the 1 and the 2 are both under 3. So those misses would hurt you 2 damage. And then his 6 would finish you off. So what you could do is if you wanted to, you could play the item. Or you could just be like, no, that's it. I did 2 damage to your hero. Worth it.
For this situation, or you can put it down on the table.
Yeah.
Like I could put
Yep.
that. I could put that
You
right
could
there.
just play it in the discard pile over here, or put it on the table so we can see what it does. So Pocket Portal allows just like one full re-roll for a player. So after any player rolls dice, this item can be used to re-roll the outcome. You can make an opponent re-roll during their turn. But I think in this case you want to re-roll these 4, correct?
Yes, I do want to do.
All right.
And
Good-
I don't
good
re-roll.
luck.
It's not re-rolling all the die.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just one player.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you get a better outcome than a worse outcome. You never know. And you don't have to use it if you're satisfied with 2 damage, because you do have to roll higher than 3. Like 2 out of 4 is not actually a terrible result for rolling against something that has 3 defense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like dead. It's dead average. Is what it is.
Right. So you literally rolled 50-50, so it's average, an average roll. But if you want this monster to not die, there's a chance of making that happen by re-rolling. But you know, it's totally up to you.
Yeah, Rebecca, continuing to have some audio problems with you.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't hear you at all in that last bit.
Uh-oh.
You're even
It's getting
quieter now.
worse.
Yeah.
Aw.
Kit.
Should we swap somebody real quick?
You didn't drop your microphone into a cotton candy machine, did you?
Try turning off your headphones, Rebecca. Those headphones.
Yeah,
have bad
okay, can you
microphone.
hear me now?
Oh, dang.
Yes,
all
much
better
better.
now, yeah.
Okay,
That's awesome.
yeah, the only thing is I can't hear you guys very well now without the headphones, but
Oh, no.
I
Okay.
was just trying to ask, is the Pocket Portal only usable one time?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so maybe I don't want to use it right now, so that means Twin Spirit is a dead guy now?
Yes. You perish.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So I discard it?
Yep.
Okay.
I really want to make a script that just automatically throws all the counters on something into the pile, or just
Yeah,
deletes all the
yeah.
counters on something automatically. And then so then
That's an
Whiting
I
Gravix
like
took
I like
2
that
damage.
strategic
which is pretty good.
choice of like the reroll is like is the
this back.
potential gain of keeping that character alive worth the potential loss of not doing as much damage and still having to die.
Right.
It feels like a pretty good like risk reward decision. It just happened to
And
be that the numbers lined up that way, but that's a cool
it's-
moment.
If you're having a good game too, it's usually just pretty funny when somebody gets really unlucky. Like
Yeah.
unless they're just having a real bad game, then it's not really funny. But like for the most
Right.
part, if you're like, all right, well, I don't like that outcome, so I'm gonna reroll, and then it's like even worse. You're just like, well, all
Yeah.
right.
All right. So it is.
So do you want to
now-
leave his mercenary? Do you want to try attacking that with your hero, or just not worry about it at this moment? So you have the option of using your hero to attack as well.
Rekka, you're muted right now.
Uh-oh.
You're not
mouse
muted
moving.
anymore, but we still can't hear you. Oh no, I thought.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, you were just muted for a while, and it's still your turn.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Josh came up and said he could fix the audio problem, and then he found that he could not fix it. So he had my phone, and I couldn't hear any of you.
Oh dear.
From what little I've heard, it sounds like Josh is having one of those nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason
I'm
was
so
just
sorry.
saying that you can attack with your other character if you choose.
Okay.
But you could refrain if it's too risky. But I think you can only attack my minion, right? Because
Okay.
they can't attack directly each other, right?
But I would say there's very little risk involved there because minion only has one attack. So I would go for it and use your hero to try to take out
Go
his
for it?
mercenary. Yeah.
Okay, I will
Especially
do
because
that.
your hero has the unique ability to like insta kill something if you roll doubles. So
Okay. So what I roll
So you would roll
How
3.
many? 3.
There's the little 3 by the sword there. So her ability only triggers on a successful hit, but there you go. You got 2. Wow, that would. There you go. Yeah, that thing's very dead.
Oh, and my
Nice.
sad number 1 is
Yeah.
not enough to do anything about
I'm
it.
so sorry.
you are
He gets
not.
more money at the beginning of his turn. So
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think that being a monster mercenary is not a good job.
I always think that whenever I'm playing Destiny, I think about all of the monsters that are just like, all right, this time we're really gonna get them, and then they run out the spawn door and then
Yeah.
just immediately get just wasted.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
so
just
in this exchange, I mean, we both lost our minions, but you did come out ahead because you did some damage on me. Now, okay, I don't get my special thing, but now it's my turn now, right?
Yep.
There's no actions that Rebecca can do, so I'll take an item, and let's take a look at that.
you could do 2 damage directly, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So what does ready a hireling mean?
So if you use them, they become exhausted. So anything that readies them unexhausts them.
Oh, I see. So I can, and I get my 4 monies, right?
Yep.
Because I don't have any minions. And so I can buy one, use it, and then use it again with this item. Assuming it
Correct.
doesn't die.
Yep, that is correct.
Well, let's see.
Oh, and we're gonna refresh this tavern here.
Okay.
Put a new monster out.
Well, let's see. Could I get 6 hits this turn? That's a question. And I can't use my lieutenant to do it.
6 hits would be tough.
Yeah. Now here's the question. My lieutenant here has this ability.
Ambitious.
Spend charge to deal this to any monster. Is that only monsters they could normally attack? Because it does say any.
That is any monster.
Okay.
So that includes heroes.
Okay, and so basically I just need to score 4 hits. I mean, that's still a lot.
Correct. Yeah.
And is there anyone I could afford?
I'll say
that
it is
can do that
it is
much?
unlikely you will get 4 hits.
I'm just trying to min-max my way to instant victory. I know that's impossible, unless the game is extremely badly balanced. But okay.
And you can always spend one coin to refresh one of the taverns. So if you want to refresh mercenaries,
that's
you can
interesting.
spend 1 gold.
Oh, I bet that's really
if you wanna
useful when you
refresh
know more about what's in that deck.
Yeah,
That's
or
cool.
even just like if you, let's say you wanted something that could hit harder. You see, there's no red monsters here, so you'd want to like re-roll for one for. They're called reavers, is their like classification,
Yeah.
but you'd want to re-roll for something that hits harder if you're going
Alright.
for damage.
I'm gonna. Oh, maybe I'll just save my money this round, but then I can't attack anyone. But I'll go ahead and buy one of these guys. I'll buy the.
Portal Gazer would be pretty good.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could save $1, and so I could be thrifty now and then save money. But you know what? That's why play smart.
Yeah. Portal Gazer also has ranged, so you can risk-free attack the hero.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, I keep trying to like strategize, but I don't know the game well enough to make really smart choices. So I'm just gonna like enjoy
it's tough at
myself
first.
until I get to that point, which is a perfect. You know what I
It's
mean?
hard when I'm teaching to not just like tell everyone exactly what they should buy and what they should attack.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and attack with this. And so, because I'm ranged, that means that only ranged characters can fight back.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
So
no
that's-
retaliation there. And if you
So I
miss,
don't roll anything, right?
what was that?
So I don't roll anything because I cannot
Correct.
defend myself. Okay.
Yep.
Uh,
And also, if you miss, Mark, you get another charge on your hero.
Oh, cool.
Yay.
There you go. That's a hit.
All right. Woo-hoo.
Here, I'll
Alright.
do some counter management just so
Oh, thank you.
so I have
all
a,
right.
so I have a job. And then
I'm gonna.
you could also throw 2 damage on the hero just so that
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to throw 2 damage on the hero there.
Is that's so I is that only so I have taken 3 damage.
Yes.
Yep.
Am I dead?
No, you
you
got
got
6
six
health.
hit
That's the
points,
last
yeah.
value there at the bottom of the card. It's the
Okay.
little vitality.
Now that's a
globe.
bit of feedback I'll give you, and I think this is true in a lot of other games, but the damage counters count up towards the hit points of that monster. but it might make
Yep.
more sense to have hit point counters so that you can quickly glance who's close to death.
Like a
Like count down from 6 to 0.
Yeah, so once you put something out, you then, I mean, maybe it's a little bit more, there's more counters involved, but it's a little bit more clear how, who's clinging to dear life and, who's
Yeah.
got lots, you know what I mean?
and I have considered putting those on. There's like a board that I'm working on. Like each
Yeah.
person has like a little tray, and moving like a slider, moving a piece up and down like a health meter at the
Oh.
bottom was one
Oh,
idea.
that would
I
feel
had.
so good.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good.
Yeah,
As
right, 'cause-
someone who is clear about math, that would be great for me.
and because there's a limited amount of slots, that wouldn't make the board that complicated either. So that's a good idea.
Right.
Okay, I think that's all the actions I can really take this turn, unless I wanted to use my item, but I don't this round.
Correct.
So I will untap my character for next time, and I'm done. And then we should refresh this, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's a fun one. That Roadborne medic.
All right, Rebecca,
There's
see
a lot
if
of
you can
support.
finish me
There's a
off
lot of
this
support
round.
monsters there. So the Roadborne medic here, that icon, that first icon, means it's an effect that takes place when you hire them and play them on the board.
Hmm.
It's like a play effect. It's not super good this turn though. Is it Yeah, so start off by grabbing an item.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. One
And you
item.
also get $4 this round because you ran
Yeah, you
out
get
of
four
minions.
bucks. Here, I'll add them up.
Wait. Hang on a second. Pocket Portal is still in my hand. I meant to discard
Yep.
that last time.
No, you didn't end up using it. Remember?
Oh,
you,
I didn't?
Yeah.
Yep.
you kept the 2 damage and then the monster died instead.
Oh, okay.
I think that
That's
was the right choice. The heroes are hard to hit. So if you can get 2 damage on them with just a basic guy that costs 3 gold, that's a win.
Okay.
And then so now you have 5. There are some interesting options because you can sell one of your items to get one of these gold cards, because then you would have 6 gold. I don't know really how useful that would be. This mimic does have pretty decent stats on top of his cool ability. Because he's got 5 health, and then with your hero's bonus, he would have 4 attack. So because of the 5 health, you could actually, even if you missed every single die, you could actually like still live through that with that card. Let's see, and then the Erinthian agent guy over here, that's pretty cool too. It basically will sap Mark's economy as long as it's in play, because it counts as that's a weird one. So this Erinthian agent monster, you give it to your opponent,
Yeah.
and in order to get rid of it, they have to discard 4 gold worth of items. The only other way to kill it is by getting it killed in combat, which is really hard because it only does 1 damage and it has 4 defense and 6 health. So it's really hard to get killed off on purpose, and it will give him 2 less gold per turn as long as he has it.
Oh, that's terrible. Let's do that.
You gonna do that one?
Yeah. So I got to sell one of the things in my hand, right?
Right.
Okay. I have, and so I'll just put it in the discard when it's worth 1. So I'll put it here.
Yeah, or over here. So the item discard.
Sorry. In
No problem.
right. And that was, so I have 1 more, and then these all cost 6. So then I go to just to 0. 0.
Yep.
And I give this to Mark. There you go.
Yeah, that card is a nuisance. The only letdown is that you will not really get a lot to do this turn, but that thing might stick with Mark for a while.
All right. You're welcome.
So what is wrong with it, other than it has upkeep? costs.
Yeah, I mean, you'll find out what's wrong with it. Which is that you just can't get rid of it really,
Yeah.
unless you sell a bunch of items, and it's
Right,
going to drain your
because
income.
I'm making no money, and it costs money to get rid of.
Yeah. Right. You will get 1 gold next turn, and
Right.
then you will have 1 extra ranged damage, which is kind of cool.
Right, and really,
But,
I'm hoping to.
You'll get tired of it.
And I want it to die in the battlefield, but it has 6 hit points, so.
Yeah, it's very unlikely you'll kill it in battle.
Right.
But it does. It's some nice plink damage for you, and because of your hero in it only having 1 dice you roll, if you miss with that die, you get a charge on your hero. So in a way, you have one of the best lieutenants that could be stuck with this card.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
you know what? Speaking
it's
of
still
that,
a nuisance.
That happened to me last round, so I do get another charge because I only.
Oh, that's right.
With this portal gazer.
No, you hit with portal gazer. You rolled a 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Never mind then. I do want to say something quick. Rebecca almost put the item in this discard deck, and I could totally see that happening a lot because the sort of broad. I mean, you'll have images on these going forward, but the broad sort of shapes of them sort of read similarly. I might.
That'll change. This is a temporary design on the items.
Yeah. Like maybe even just like putting the description at the top instead of the bottom would be enough to really differentiate it. You know.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
The items are going to look a lot different when they're done.
Cool.
I just got confused because that particular item was blue, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at it on a little screen, and it would be different for physical card.
But then all the
items won't have colors when they're like they'll have the color in like the upper right corner, but for the most part the actual artwork of the card is going to be themed blue, but like the actual UI of the card is just going to be like gray.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes sense. All right. Let's see. What am I up for? If I could get 3 damage, but that's not likely.
Hey, you don't never say never.
Yeah.
Except you're poor, so.
All right. So,
but you can roll twice with your item.
Now, how do I do the math here for what I have 1 of each, but I don't see 1 of each listed on this handy chart. So how do I determine what?
Yeah, that's a little harder to like. That was like one of my concerns with introducing the idea of champions costing more, is that like it makes this card less straightforward.
Basically, it's 1 for the monster and 2 for the
2 for the champion.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
this little dot sequence above was like my illustration for people that can't add of like the different combinations of monsters you can have depending on your income.
Oh,
Are you able to sustain people that you can't afford, Jason?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The one thing you cannot do is if you have a maxed out, like let's say Mark has, you cannot hire something that can't fit on your payroll. So if he already has 3 of his gold missing each turn, you can't buy another champion. You could be gifted another champion like this, but you cannot buy. You cannot actually perform the hiring action of something that you can't fit on your spending budget.
All right. Well, I think what I'll do is I will. Well,
I think you pretty much got her because your hero is going to get a charge anytime either of these miss.
Right, but the hero can't attack this hero, so.
You can use your ability to directly deal damage to the hero.
Oh, that's true. So basically, I pretty much get a hit with every attempt.
Correct.
That sounds OP, but I'm happy it's on my side. All right, I'm going to go ahead and attack.
Hey, if everything's OP, nothing's OP, right?
Right. Looks like I scored
There's 1 hit.
Okay. Now, do I need to roll anything?
No, both of his guys are ranged.
Yeah. And so I'll do my gifted monster as well. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to roll. I'm trying to delete this die. Okay. And nope.
There's a miss.
I get a charge.
You get a charge.
And I'm going to use that charge to do the 1 point of damage.
Ooh, don't you want to roll again with Arinthian Agent first with your item?
Well, no, because
because then you could get 2 charges.
Oh yeah, I suppose so. I was going to just recharge it now, but so I've got this potion here, and I'm going to,
I was just saying, don't spend the charges quite yet because if you attack again with this one and it misses again, then you wouldn't be able to spend that second charge because you can only use that ability once per turn on your hero.
Oh, okay. Well, oh, I see. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to use this potion, which I was saving because it also heals, but this is a good opportunity to guarantee a hit, basically.
Yep.
And so I will roll. It doesn't really matter which one of these I would do. Yeah. So I will roll again for an attack, and I miss again, but I get another charge. And then now I use both the charges to take you out.
So I am dead now.
Which is good for me, but then it unlocks your more powerful character. So that's kind of a balancing mechanic.
Yep.
It's going to be harder for me and easier
this
for
hero
you.
this hero is quite powerful, possibly too powerful. Well, we'll see.
What does it do?
So the way Dirk Baneblood works is something will attack and then attack or use its ability, doesn't matter. What this hero's ability does is you take a monster that's exhausted, so it's already performed an action or an attack, and then you can force it to fight again with +2 attack and then kill it. So you can if something's mostly dead, you can just be like, well, it's going to fight again, and then it is really dead.
It is pretty cool.
And then also, if something that you own would take lethal damage, you can instead deal 2 damage to your hero and return it to life with 1 health.
I can zoom in and read these cards. I just realized.
You can also hold an alt. If you hold an alt over a card, it will pull it up. Huge. And you can roll your scroll wheel to make it almost full screen.
Yep.
Oh,
It's not helpful for these horizontal cards because you have to tilt your head, but
You can hit Q or E to rotate those.
while you're holding
okay.
it. Oh yeah.
But then it
look at
rotates all the previews.
that. Oh,
I've
right.
just been sitting back here not reading any of these cards because thought I just couldn't see them.
Ooh.
You can make them big.
And you're still doing this well.
And now you can now you can also appreciate this art better.
Ooh.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice.
That was kind of my portrait sample of what I hope to make all of the portraits look like.
I'm getting more of an idea for your style here that these are all going to be sort of like monochrome sort of aesthetic,
Yes.
right?
Oh, so it'll
Exactly.
be really
So
obvious what
they're
the
color
name is.
themed, and then the UI will actually be universal, and
Yeah.
the portrait instead will be themed. The color.
I like that.
Oh, that's really cool.
I think you will have to make accommodations for colorblind players.
I'm colorblind, so
Oh,
I
yeah?
definitely will.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Plus, there will be some kind of unique, signet or insignia or something that will say it belongs to this.
Right, that's
this,
all it really takes.
club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it will also say it in text on the card as well.
Yeah.
So let's see. So you have killed her hero.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 gold. You probably nothing else left to do, right? Did you draw an item that turn?
I thought I did,
don't
but I
think
must
you did.
not have because I would have had it in my hand. Okay, well,
You did not draw an item. I didn't see you do that.
Also, that card has new text that is
Yeah.
not reflected here, which is exactly what it says, except you also draw a new item at the end.
oh, that's pretty nice. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a freebie instead of
Yeah.
being.
I'm
not
actually
that great.
I'm actually in really good position here because even though I only deal these 2 attacks, they're both ranged. If I don't do well, I get them anyway, and it's going to take 10 points of damage to get me down to anything really. Like I feel kind of like a fortress right now.
That might change with her new commander out.
Yeah, right. You could deal a lot of damage, but then I get all my money. Then so really, I'm kind of fine with either outcome.
Let's just say if you're spending 3 gold a turn, you want to be doing more than those will be doing for you. Although you did get this charge on Portal Gazer at the beginning of the turn because he's energized, so he gets a charge at the beginning of each turn.
Ah, okay.
Now that you have a charge on him, you can actually make magic dice instead of attacking with him if you want.
Oh, okay. And
That's more useful if you're rolling more dice.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have more you wish to do, or is that?
Oh no, that's
is
it
that
for me.
your turn?
I don't think there's anything I can
Okay.
do.
And you can
Well, I could've
absolutely.
played
I
Squad,
would love to I'll have to go pretty shortly. I would love to, if you guys want to continue, I'd love to like promote somebody so you can keep going. Otherwise,
yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that, just so you don't have to stick around for whatever point you want to bounce is. But Rebecca, it is your turn now.
Okay, so I'm gonna take an item so I don't forget to do that. One item. Wait, it was in my hand. Okay.
Oh man, can you? Oh, okay, that's great. That's really great.
I don't like the sound of that.
Soon, Mark will not be feeling like a fortress.
His fortress is a house of cards.
So that card there, that Royal Talisman, I would spend that to buy this Golden Colossus.
Okay, I will.
And I don't mean to like hijack somebody's turn, but I really like to show like what's possible in terms of like combinations in this game.
Yeah.
So.
Oh wait, I forgot to do my counter. Where am I supposed to be at?
So you're supposed to be at 6 because you've got your commander out now. And then the Royal Talisman hires an available champion for 3 less than its normal cost. Champions are these gold ones. So I would buy the Golden Colossus for 5. And he has cleave, the cleave damage, which is already pretty cool. And he's very, very hard to kill. But he's unique in the sense that this is a monster you want to make die. Because when he dies, you gain 16 gold.
Yeah.
And then if he was killed by an attacking enemy monster, then that monster's controller gains 5 gold also. But your hero just happens to be pretty awesome for having that card, because what you can do is you can attack whatever you want with this Golden Colossus. It'll do cleave damage, which is already pretty cool because you hit 2 monsters at once. And then after that's done, he's exhausted, and you can use this hero's ability to attack again with 4 cleave damage and kill it.
And so you get 21 gold.
Okay, so I will be.
You get 16 gold when it dies, and you could do a total of 6 cleave damage with him as well.
Okay, so I will be attacking with Telesis here, and then I will be killing him with the Dirk character. Is that correct?
To do more damage with him and then kill him.
Okay, so I start by attacking.
And there's no risk of me killing it before you get a chance to, because I don't have very little attack power.
Right. Yeah, there's no risk there. I would just personally, I would go straight for his lieutenant, because it's a lot of damage that you're not worried about. You're not worried about losing your own monster, because you want to. So I would just go right for the lieutenant.
That guy right there.
Right.
I rolled dice. Does it say how many?
And you can roll back, Mark. I think that monster's about to die anyway. But actually, if you got really lucky. Oh no, it's only when it's being attacked that you would get gold. So not when you're retaliating. So yeah, I would just roll 2 dice.
2 dice.
So do 1 to his hero.
Oh dang! I was wondering if you miss with all of them, I get a fun extra thing. Oh. Okay. And then I do my 2 in response.
Yep.
And
does 1 damage.
1 damage.
Doesn't matter too much anyway.
And I can't elect to not do that. Although you'd be able to take care of it easy without my help. But
yeah, you can't not counterattack if a counterattack's possible. Right. And then you can use your hero's ability to make that guy attack again and then perish.
So will I be okay? So I tap this to make that happen. Is that how that works?
That's correct.
Okay,
that arrow means it's like an active ability that consumes an action.
Okay, so I am attacking again. So I roll 2 dice.
You'd roll 4 this time.
Sorry.
I think the more recent text on that hero, it only gives it a +1 attack. Because it's just like kind of insane to give +2 to everything once a turn. But wow, what a hit! That'll do it. Says his lieutenant's dead, and then you get a lot of gold.
Guy's dead. So I get 16 out of that, right?
Yes.
Well, +5.
Yeah, how would you like to spend that?
Oh, I got to do something else now.
My vote
my
for how to
God,
spend that would either be to essentially like fill your board with blue guys,
Yeah,
or
I like blue guys.
re-roll for a chance at a really good gold guy that would benefit you a lot. And you actually don't refresh these till the person's turn is over.
Oh, sure, okay. So I misread something about this Colossus. I was thinking that Rebecca would also get the 5 because she's controlling the monster or the thing that killed it. But the phrasing on here is, if killed by an attacking enemy monster, that monster's controller. I get that language implies more than one play or more than 2 players. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I assume
yeah.
it was phrased that way
Mark
because it
gets the
meant.
5.
This game can have more than 2 players.
Okay.
But
But
the
Mark,
one thing I've heard about this card before is that it reads as a if-or statement.
Yeah.
You gain 16 regardless, but if they kill it, they also get 5.
Right.
So right
and
now, Mark is supposed to get 5, right?
No.
No, because I didn't kill your monster.
He didn't kill it.
You did.
Oh, okay.
That's why it was really extra advantage, because me getting 5 is a bit of like a consolation prize for that mega haul, but it doesn't. You found that exploit is a way to prevent me from getting it, which is cool.
If it's your turn, you can take the risk of them being able to not share that gold with you. But if your Colossus is really wounded, Mark might be like, well, that's gonna die soon, and you're gonna get that gold either way. I'd rather it be on my terms and get 5 of that gold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the most recent rules text on that actually it's like a split. So like if you get 5 gold and they get 5 less, instead of like there's just more gold to go around if you're the one that kills it. I think it's they have to give up some of the profit if it's killed by an enemy player.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, that card is much less good with any other hero besides the one that you have. It's still good, but your hero's the only one that can just insta kill it.
Yeah.
Right. So right now, I could just buy all 3 of these blue guys right here.
Yes, or you could, maybe get
buy 2 of these and the most expensive of those.
For the sake of time, I'll just say what they do really quick and why it would be good to buy them right now, and then you can just grab a few. Because 17 gold is a lot to that's a stressful amount of gold to try to spend when you don't know what all the monsters do. Basically, if you buy this Roadborne Medic, which I would advise getting him, because then you'll actually get this Royal Talisman back.
Okay.
Because his playability is so he'd cost 4, and you would draw the top item from the discard pile, and then he actually has an ability where if you play a damaging item, which are the munitions is what they're called, if you play munitions, they would heal instead of dealing damage as long as this monster's out. And then these ones will protect your heroes so that it can't attack your hero directly. So you could either get those, or you could spend 1 gold to refresh these champions and see if you have any luck there.
I'm gonna go with getting these 2 guys. So altogether, that's gonna be 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the end of my turn then.
Yeah, unless you want to spend 1 to flip these over and then get a champion too.
Wait, couldn't you attack with these?
You can. Yep.
I mean, you'd risk losing them because I have my. Well, I mean, it's probably a good idea. You have a nice.
Yeah, that seems sweet.
Yeah, because basically what I'm looking at is I'm looking at 4 automatic damage. I have a card that lets me refresh all my characters, just revealed to you now. So I'm in a position where I can deal 4 automatic damage. So you probably want to destroy at least one of my guys.
Sorry, Mark. That card in your hand, refresh available tavern hires. That's referring to the available monsters in the tavern.
Oh, all right. Well, I just misread what. So it's not a very useful.
I could probably do a better job of wording that too, because everywhere else I call them hirelings.
Yeah.
That's the only card where I refer to them as hires.
Yeah.
But I could say refresh available monsters for hire in the tavern or something like that.
what I was reading into that is refresh them, not my my lieutenant or commander.
Right.
That's what I was thinking into. So I'm like, the only context for refreshing something that's not one of these is, and so that's why I just interpreted refresh as meaning that, as untap basically.
Yeah, I think if like that I would say like ready all hirelings you control or something like that.
Yeah.
And I try to be really careful with wording, but yeah, there's some cards where like there's room for confusion. I think that might be one of those.
Well, I don't mean to say
Taking
that
a
there's.
note.
As far as I know, this is it was me who made the misunderstanding because it reads correctly. It's just that there's one you want to develop terminology for your game, but then you can't count on players adopting your terminology.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and debatably ready and refresh are quite close to each other in terms of words.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll out the rest of Rebecca's turn. We got to move on to our next game after that, but I want to see where this goes.
That's the other monster game, right?
We're actually have 2 games we're gonna do before that.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well, you'll have to show me your monster game later, Lee.
Oh, you bet.
All right. So, well, Rebecca, you can with the Roadborne Medic, you could shoot at either the Portal Gazer. I would not recommend attacking the Arinthian Agent since you spent 6 gold to put that there.
Right. Can I attack
you can definitely attack the hero.
Okay, I'm gonna do that, and I
That's a
roll.
freebie. He doesn't reroll. He doesn't roll against you because it's ranged.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. How do I know? How do I know how many dice to roll?
Their weapon in the lower left corner, that lower left value, it'll have different weapons, but all of the number by that is how many dice you roll. That's like your attack value.
Okay.
There you go.
That's one.
It's a hit.
Total you get? Yeah,
And then
okay.
Voidsworn cannot attack the hero because it has that gold sword.
Okay.
So because it has honor, it cannot attack other monsters that have honor. So you could attack the Portal Gazer or the
He has no honor.
Agent because they don't have honor, but you would not be able to attack the hero with that one.
Okay, so I'm gonna take this guy and attack Portal Gazer over there, and I will roll. Oops. I'm trying to put these back. How do I?
You can just hit the X or just hit a number and it'll automatically clear them.
Okay, so I'm rolling 1 die. I rolled a 2.
It's a miss.
And I attack back, and I do 1 as well, and also Bupkis. it's the only result that would have. Oh boy.
And then Quillback, you can attack the hero. I would not recommend it because Quillback has a trait called Hazardous, which means that if it's being attacked by an enemy player and they miss, they deal damage to themselves.
Okay.
So,
wait, but this has the sword. You said that means it can't.
This has just a normal sword, so it can attack whatever it wants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do kind of like the distinction between the right side up and upside down sword, but because this is a card game, you will frequently be looking at cards upside down.
Yeah.
So I think
this is what the final art for that looks like. It's a little more pronounced.
I would still recommend something other than a sword that's inverted because when I'm looking across the table, I have to rethink it. You know what I mean? I have to flip it back over.
Yeah.
I would say maybe choose a different weapon. That's maybe the regular attack could be a more pedestrian weapon, like a stick. I don't know. That doesn't sound great, but.
Well, it could be a wooden sword. Because I just realized looking at it closer, it has the
Yeah,
sword
there is a
on
difference.
this side.
Yeah.
It has a wooden hilt instead of the shiny hilt.
Yeah. I try to make it more pronounced with the glow also, but it's maybe even like changing the number color or something like that to make it more obvious. It's definitely something to think about.
So I could attack. You said I should not attack the hero with this, even though I could.
I would, if anybody, attack Portal Gazer just because he's not very threatening. But this card benefits the most from having full health and being attacked by an enemy, not really from it attacking.
Okay. So I am attacking Portal Gazer.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a hit.
And another snake eye for me.
There it is.
So then that will be the end of my turn then, right?
And as
Okay.
much as
If
I
you
would
want it to
love to see what I'm working with, that's going to have to be the end of the game as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what I would be
And you
doing
can-
is I would probably be selling my bad brew for 1 and then being able to buy 1 more monster, a cheap monster, just to fill out my row. That would probably be my strategy, and then just try to do what I've got, which is be able to just chip away with guaranteed single hits, long enough until you can kill my character. But I think you'd probably come out ahead in the end.
Well, to quick just walk through what that would look like, really fast. So you would get 1 gold, or actually you would get 3 gold because you now have a commander. So you'd start with 5.
So I'm not quite so resource poor then.
Right, and then if you bought Thunderfang, which costs 4, he's incredible for you because you would have. So here you would have Portal Gazer with 2 energy on him. You'd have Lyron Gravix who rolls 3 magic dice every turn. So you'd roll 3 magic dice with him and 2 magic dice with Portal Gazer. You get a total of 5 dice that you can change to whatever you want. And then you could attack with Thunderfang, who rolls 3 dice, and his ability is pretty cool. So like you'd attack the hero there. Wow, what a roll!
So my magic dice
You
are
do-
not helpful.
You do 3 damage, and your magic dice don't matter.
Yep.
So
That's
but
the thing about magic dice.
actually,
That
they do
I've never been motivated to go for them because it feels like a heavy investment in something that's a little bit uncertain and not immediately useful.
Wait, we'll check this out though. Then hers counterattacks with 3, which oof, ouch! I only have 2 defense, and I don't want to take 2 damage, so I'm going to make that a 1 and that a 2. So then you don't take any damage there. And then Thunderfang's ability is for every die for each damage dealt to the defending monster, you re-roll another die, and then for each of those die, if it's 4 or higher, you deal an additional 1 damage. So, bam, 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 3 hits. That means you roll 3 more dice, and for each of those that's 4 or higher, you get an extra hit. So you could do, bam, 6 damage with 1 monster.
Okay.
So you would not have been. There's a lot you could have done on that turn.
So
I just fast forwarded it.
No, that's good, and it's helpful because it's like I think it comes from you play this game a couple times, you get familiar with some of that thing. But I still do like the idea of not having to know these things because like I could have figured that out as it happened. You know what I mean? Which is I think I appreciate about this game. It does feel it's swingy in a way that's like fun. Which I like at a point where I seem like, oh, I'm invincible. Like I kind of know I'm not, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when I get totally torn down and I'm like, oh, I'm in a lot of trouble now. Just that one swing lets me know that it could easily swing the other way. And so I kind of like that about it. It might frustrate some players who are a little bit more invested in like min-maxing a game like this. But I like it. I will say that, and maybe this is just a general. Maybe this is an aesthetic criticism for me and not really useful, but I feel like I don't know that you need this many rules and this many. You know what I mean? You could probably like the different energized. I think makes a lot of sense. That's interesting because that becomes currency for various actions. That seems cool and could be used in a lot of different interesting ways without complicating the mechanics. But I would say something like this hazardous. Or even protector, like those things. Maybe it's because we didn't really get into it, but it feels like I'm not sure how much more interesting it makes the game. It just sort of maybe complicates your strategy in the moment. It doesn't. Thankfully, it doesn't increase the. I don't think anyway. It doesn't increase the cognitive overhead, which is something I always dislike about games like this. So I think you're safe to do it, but I don't know what it adds to the game, or I'm not convinced yet. If that makes sense.
I've heard that criticism about items actually.
Really.
Somebody told me that they just felt like items were just kind of whatever, and
I like items
them.
because it gives the player an interesting choice, and I think that is always
sell or use.
Yeah, and I
it
think
it guides what they'll try to do that turn too. They might have an idea what they want to do that turn, and then they get an item that is like, oh.
I'm in favor of complexity when it gives a player choice, but not when it takes the player longer to figure out what their options are.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Oh, and for what it's worth, I'm trying, like I'm doing a pass to try to remove traits from everything that doesn't really need them, and then also whenever it is really important part of that card, I'm also writing all of the rules for the traits into the card themselves. So it's no longer a you need to know what this is. It's like it explicitly says hazardous. This monster, when this monster is defending, attacking monsters take 1 damage for each missed die or whatever. Like
I think that
to reinforce that on the card itself.
You have some unique abilities that each monster has, and then you also have traits that more than one monster can have. And that feels like 2 versions of the same system. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. And
So
I'm also trying to slim it down so that the mercenaries are, for the most part, like will only have a maximum of like 1 ability.
Yeah.
Instead of like giving each mercenary like a ton of stuff they do.
It could be that you have mercenaries have traits and champions have unique rules.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And that is kind of what it's
differentiate them.
becoming. That is kind of how it is. There's a lot more mercenaries in the latest version of the game that I haven't really built in Tabletop Simulator.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of mercenaries that I reduced the overall life total of almost all mercenaries. So because one of the biggest questions I always get is why not just roll against the hero every single time? Why not just like always attack the hero?
Yeah.
And now the answer is like, well, if you don't attack the mercenaries, you're gonna have a problem. But if you do attack a mercenary, it's very unlikely you won't kill them.
Right.
So like, anyway, there's a lot of like balancing stuff
than you have if they do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep, exactly.
All right, now I need to kick you guys out here. We have to.
We've gone way over time, but it's
the next guy has to leave in like 15 minutes. Fortunately, his game is very short. Jason, thank you for giving us so much of your time, though.
Yeah, no problem.
I am super eager to play what will surely go down in history as the second best monster battling game in the Twin Cities area or from the Twin Cities area. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks for playing.
Jason.
I wish I could stick around and see the other games, but maybe another time.
Take it easy, man.
Yeah, have a great night, everyone.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
So we are gearing up for the epicness that is going to be Josh's game, and Josh is here with us. Hey, Josh. However, there is only one way for us to properly introduce Sanity Wars. Did I get that name correct?
It is Sanity Wars Reimagined, technically.
Reimagined! Yes. Okay. So in order to get us to the epicness of Sanity Wars Reimagined, there's only one thing we can do. Super Moose, are we ready for this?
Oh, I think we are.
All right. All right. So how are we doing this, by the way? Did you send... Oh, yeah, you sent me a build. I shared that with Mark. Mark, are we prepared?
Yes, I took some attention away when I was battling Rebecca to get it installed and set up. So it's ready to launch whenever. I can run through it, or we can use Parsec and get somebody else on board. I'll leave it to you, Lane, to decide how to run this part.
Okay, I think we want you to run through this, Mark.
Okay. And now, I'm forgetting, because we've done this before, but I'm forgetting. Do I need a gamepad, or what do I need?
This is a keyboard-based game at the moment.
Cool. Whoa. I'm sensing a little bit of assumption that we're going into Josh's game here. We're not. We're going into Eric. We're going into Super Moose's game.
I'm sorry, you were talking me up all the time, so I said I was confused about who was actually going. My bad.
I was. Now, there's only one way to build up the hype enough for Josh's game, and that is by opening up Super Moose's game.
Yeah, I also don't know whose is whose, or I've forgotten,
We want to go to MMO Launch Simulator.
There we go. All right.
Couldn't be more clear.
So the Not Godot icon game.
Yep. Here we go.
All right.
I ran this a little bit before we started, and just some patience required, but worth it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see, it's powered by many engines.
Yes.
We
it's
really
also
needed to leverage it
covered by Prop
here.
65 as well. It's nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man,
There we go.
I feel some splash screen envy here. I don't only have the Godot splash screen.
Oh dang! I got a reward here.
Right? Aha, yeah, because you logged in before, so you were actually this is your returning player benefit.
Oh, I see. Pretty cool.
Wow,
It's nice that
really
I actually
expert
it's just for launching the launcher. I could scam this by just opening the executable and not actually logging in at any point.
Yep.
All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is quit, so I can open it again.
Right, you gotta stock up. Yeah.
Everybody can get another good look at all of these splash screens.
as per all good high-quality MMOs, they're completely unskippable.
Yep, I do love that some of them are a little off-centered. I feel that that's just the right amount of contempt for the player.
Right.
Also, you're using Arial Rounded, which is a really classy font. It's good stuff.
Like, it's not your standard Arial. So
No,
you think,
no.
Oh,
It's playful.
You had to choose a font. But
yes.
we didn't
All
put
right.
too much effort into it.
All right, I'm going to collect another set of my rewards. It's fancy. All right. Now, I know if I hit the news button, it opens up a web browser. So you can just trust me that that's what happens.
Yeah, at the moment it just pops you over to Reddit.
All right, let's look at some settings here.
The plan is to then make a full subreddit for it, and then have it be a whole bunch of posts of people saying how great the game is.
Right.
Ah.
So right now in the settings here, nothing's going on here, but can you describe a little bit of what we would be in store for in a fully featured settings menu?
So settings there, at the moment, this is sort of placeholder here, but we're going to do things like, you can choose your graphic settings. If you choose low graphic settings, it's going to apply a giant blur filter over the whole screen. Pretty much no matter what changes you're going to make, you're going to have to restart the game in order for your graphics changes to take effect, as per important changes.
Of course.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then you get to watch
you get
nice
to
splash screens again with the
But you
blur
get to
filter
collect
applied.
those things again.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I wonder what's in that item chest.
We do take a little bit of pity on you, as when you're going through the splash screens, the more times you restart the game, the faster it goes, so that the first time it takes a good 45 seconds, and then it goes down to like 30 seconds. Just you got to make sure that it's not too bad. We would like people to start it a second time. So an important feature of this screen is you can't use tab to go between the different text inputs.
Oh, accessibility is going to ding you for that.
Of course. Let's see.
Unfortunately, this is a very popular game on release. You didn't get here quick enough. You're going to have to try some other username.
Yes. Try reducing their health to 0. I'll give that a go. I assume I need to load a couple patches in advance. I'm probably not fully ready. So I'm assuming this is very Andy Kaufman-like. You're just going to let us wait all the way to 100 before something fun happens.
Feeling poor?
Try making money.
Wow, what great advice.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah, so this is the majority of the game where it stands right now. Is you get to watch it, you get to read the funny loading tips. We're going to be kind of expanding on this here as we do it, where we're mimicking the Steam overlay right now.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do it so that people are going to start messaging you while you're stuck on the loading screens. And they're going to be like, oh, hey, Kings of Magic, that game's supposed to be great. What do you think of it? Because that is what happens every single time that you start a new popular game up. You're stuck on the queue, and everyone's like, oh, is it as great as everyone says?
You're like, I don't know.
And we're just going to have that little chat bot
Punch trees to get wood?
Well, the loading screen is amazing, so you have something to say.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that'd be. I like that it has to. It goes back. Like, we're not getting unique tips.
Right.
That is
only
extra
6
cruel. Is like, by the time you're this far, you're like, okay, I get the joke, but at least I have these things to wait for every couple of seconds. And then just as you lose patience with it, then it restarts them. That's very good. I also love this title, Kings of Magic. It's like, it means absolutely nothing. Like,
right.
But it sounds like it's
obviously a fantasy MMO. But
So, Eric, could you tell us a little bit about your backstory behind this game?
Sure. So I've been playing New World, which is an MMO that just came out a couple of weeks ago.
Mm.
And I've got a big number of my friends who have been playing Final Fantasy XIV since there has apparently been an exodus of people who went from WoW
Huge,
to Final
like
Fantasy XIV.
yeah, like half of their user base.
Something like that, yeah. And my friends are all included in that.
I just want to remark on how I'm quite surprised and heartened by that actually having happened. I heard talk of it, but I actually I had no faith that gamers generally would have actually taken action. That's kind of
People.
nice.
Mark, I have to like reduce your level of faith. Like the people were really mad about World of Warcraft and being a like badly designed game for several years, and then the event you're thinking of happened, and that was sort of the like straw that broke the camel's back.
So it's kind of like this is a thing I don't like, but I'm addicted to, but now I have good justification.
Yes. It was very dark.
You know, okay, I'll give them a little credit. I'm not gonna be so cynical as to
they saw an exit door and they took it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's it is kind of like a dark comment on how strong network effects really are.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's even part of it is like once enough people start leaving, then there's a permission structure for other people too, or maybe even a bit of FOMO. So like there's that inflection point is getting to that point. So really the credit goes to the people who took action before that inflection point hit, and that everybody else kind of felt a little bit safer or more comfortable joining them. But yeah, you're totally right. The network
really
effects, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, the floodgates really opened when I guess a couple of very large streamers moved over, and they said, "Hey, if you want to play with me while I'm learning a new MMO, come to this server and play."
Yeah.
And it was so successful when they said that those servers had to get locked down and all character creation was banned on those servers. If you hadn't gotten in early enough, you just didn't get to play with them. And then people figured out that if you were in neighboring servers that were in the same data center as that server, then you could still do cross-server grouping. So then all of those filled up and those ones got locked down as well. And apparently, even during a non-launch MMO, you can still get this same exact launch experience.
What's gonna happen?
Now, my favorite part of this, other than the fact the loading screen is Z fighting here, is that it says press OK to terminate, and there's no OK button.
Right. You can't really know that you're doing the right thing in this case.
Yeah. Is there more to discover?
That is most of it at this point.
Okay.
So as you said, you had started this up before in order to make sure that it ran and everything.
Yeah.
The first time you actually load up the screens, you're not supposed to get any of those login rewards.
Right.
So then that's sort of that's the storyline that kind of continues through is you have to wait for the extra long splash screens in the first go. You wait through the whole loading screen, and then you get the shorter splash screens, and you get all of the login benefits, and it's like, okay, all right, we're gonna do it this time. And there's going to be more and more steps of this.
Yeah.
Where like the next time that we're working on a character creation screen right now, so then the loading will actually succeed the next time you go through it, and you'll be able to choose a character and actually build it. And then when you log in with your character, your character gets stuck in a queue, and then you're waiting on server queues again.
Yeah. I think I think there's a thing you need to consider with something like this is that people know it's a gag going in, so there's a certain amount of like easy jokes that will not be tolerated well because they kind of already get it. But I like the idea of yes, there's an error, but it's not going to error you out at each stage. You're going to have different, more interesting, more clever stages of frustration, even if mechanically all it does is reset you. It's going to be it's still going to be something new and interesting to enjoy, worth the wait each time. And also there's a certain kind of enjoyment that a player, if we can call them that, will get from like testing their own patience. There's a certain kind of thrill in that. So I think that will be, and that's of course very different from an actual experience of playing an MMO. But like this is what I say about a lot of games. Your character doesn't have the same motivation as your player does. So I like all of the avenues of like meta commentary. Like, it at first I'm like, oh, how many jokes could you tell with this? But in fact, you could tell quite a lot for quite a while before you run out of things to say.
And that's kind of where the pacing is going to be the big testing part of this.
Yeah.
Is like, how often do I need to tell those jokes? I really can't force a person to sit through that whole loading screen a second time, unless the tips are different, unless there's something else that pops up in it that like keeps your interest.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the loading screen goes 2 to 3 times faster the second time.
Right.
And
I mean, honestly, it should go really fast and then just get stuck at 64% for a really long time.
Right, exactly. Like people think that it's not going to take very long, and then it smashes through and everyone's excited, and then
Or better yet, it loads faster for the next 4 or 5 times, but then it gets stuck. Like, because that's what happens when you play games like this. You finally get used to it, and then it regresses,
Yeah.
Well, that's very cool. I mean, what's the ambition? Like, how far you think you're going to take it? Because this is definitely something you could charge money for. Like, once it's got all its pieces in place.
I would like to actually sell this. This is a much smaller scope of a game that I think I can finish faster. While I've got like my other game, which we play tested a couple months ago, the platformer game, the Metroidvania, which is taking a long time building all of the backgrounds and all of the tile sets and everything. Whereas this is something that I could get out relatively quickly. Not to call this an asset flip, but we're able to make this with largely store-bought assets, because I want the identifiability of those. I want people to see them and say, oh yeah, this is a classic MMO UI. This is something I expect. This is something I'm familiar with. So in that case, like, I don't want it to be bad. I don't want it to be low quality, but I do want it to strike that nostalgia chord where you have to instantly recognize what I'm trying to do, or the joke won't land.
Right.
And so, like, for that, I've also got I've got a fair bit of licensed music. I've got about a half an hour of music that I've licensed at this point, in order to, as we add more and more screens, we can change the background track, we can change the background images and kind of keep moving. There are all of these pieces that we can sort of expand on as a way to, once you're through all of the splash screens, like the login page has an animated background. It has some particle fire effects. Again, most of those were gotten through the asset store for me to kind of easily plop them in.
Yeah.
But that allows us to have... Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, I'm just noticing that the game had a cancer warning. I didn't get to read all of it, though.
Splash screen.
Yeah, well, Dale, you've dealt with Prop 65 in your day job, so you know a little bit about how comical it is to see that warning everywhere.
It is on everything.
Yeah.
You go into McDonald's, it's on the door to McDonald's. Go to a hotel, it's on the curtains of your hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that...
I had to write code around Prop 65. That was real fun.
For anyone watching who don't know what we're talking, just look up California Prop 65. There's lots of ink spilt over its sort of absurdity. It's sort of noble goals, but ultimate sort of failure in the marketplace of ideas.
Yeah, and it's so funny. Yep, and it's funny because the wording on it is, this substance is known in the state of California. And you're like, is it not known anywhere else?
Yeah.
Right.
But it just meets the state's requirements.
No, if you drink milk in the state of California, you'll get cancer. But if you're anywhere else, you're fine. No cancer.
Right?
Just gotta move it over the state line.
Yeah.
We're good.
It's kind of a tough piece of satire, too, because it relies a lot on a lot of the context. Otherwise, it just sounds like you're making fun of, like, OSHA or something, which, you know what I mean, which you don't want to be doing. But it's a very specific, like, failure of government. That is, like, worth a lot of ridicule.
And it's a very specific, like, voter proposition.
Yes, it's a result of California's voter proposition regime.
California is a little funky.
It's the most direct democracy we have, which is like, it'll make you question your faith in democracy a little bit.
All right, before we move on, Eric, I just want to compliment you on being the first game I've seen to accurately portray the moon. All right. Anyway, let's move on to
as a
Josh's
cutout
game.
slice. Yeah. Oh, that's great. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, Eric, this is awesome. Thank you very much. I'm excited to see this coming along.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to
we
get
have
to
D&D
subscribe to other
set.
people.
All right. I guess I'll just get right into it then.
Okay. So,
Okay, are you hearing audio? Because I'm not hearing audio.
I am. Is nobody else?
I am, but I'm on your headphone.
Yeah.
So that doesn't
Okay,
help.
so that's interesting.
I can't hear it, but I know what the game sounds like already, so I can imagine it.
Yeah, but I'm just interested in why it's not playing over the stream.
Yeah. Did we hear audio on other things?
I did not hear any other audio from the stream. Oh wait, you know what? I might be stupid. Hold on.
Maybe.
Yeah. I forgot I had the YouTube stream muted because I'm in the Discord chat.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
Oh, here I was like messing with all the my audio driver settings. I didn't break it, did I? People can still hear it?
you broke it.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
I don't know. Is the background music quiet? Like I'll listen to the stream and I can't hear the music. Am I just like not hearing the right thing?
I
does seem
do.
the voc-
I always
You got
turn
it.
games down because they tend to be at full
Okay.
volume, and we are not at full volume, so I always turn
Right.
it down a little bit. But it looks like in chat they can hear it. So,
Dale, could you give us a dramatic reading of this?
Okay.
oh please.
I don't know how to read.
The Dread Overlord has taken control and crippled the
Oh,
world
no.
with terror. Only the tomes of knowledge can break his rule and bring salvation to the world. You are charged with recovering these tomes from the far corners of the world.
Me, a farm boy from a
But-
little planet out here.
But the Dread Overlord's eyes are always watching. He will seek to break your sanity and cripple your mind. You can use use his magic of terror against him by sacrificing your own sanity. Can you succeed in your quest to save the world? Are you a bad enough dude? Sorry, that was mine.
All right, let's
What
see.
are you gonna do?
I can go left. I can go right. I can go up or down.
Okay.
Sacrificing your sanity is known in the state of California to cause cancer, by the way.
Right, right. Okay, space, and then open square bracket. And
Okay,
then-
I do not know why the text is
Shuffle.
suddenly all messed up.
Well, it's because I'm scaling the window, and so I think that there's just a
Okay,
a nearest
yeah, that might
neighbor
be.
scaling is happening.
Oh, yeah, I
it's
can't
supposed
read
to
it.
be It's E.
It's E. Okay,
It's
that makes a little more sense.
It's down to the bottom of S.
Because yeah, that is next
Yep.
on my list of priorities is figuring out how to actually make all this scale properly in Godot because it's
Right,
not
'cause you're
straightforward.
You're using a 1-to-1, so the window opens up very small, and my window is
Yep.
not evenly divisible to that size, so you get those nearest neighbor effects. I'm dealing with that
Yeah.
with the game I'm working on right now, actually, and it is there's like 100 ways to solve it, and none of them are good. Okay.
So yeah, that is like one of the next things on my list of priorities after figuring out how to get the game to not crash on export.
Okay. Let's try just. Oh, actually, going full screen seems to be all right. A little better anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
Let's view the controls. Yes,
That-
this seems to be a little better, getting better divisible numbers here.
Interesting, because I did not test any of those at all because all the resolution stuff comes from my boilerplate code that I use for the start of all my projects.
Right. So 1 and 2.
And it's amazing you didn't even have to close the window and open it back up. Oh, you're ready.
Yes.
You got a white outline.
Oh, you upgraded the character animations too. Cool.
Yes, just today.
Wow.
Broke her back putting that in.
Fresh out of the oven.
Okay. Black screen, is that happening in game or is that just the stream?
No, that was just a stream. Now it's looking better.
Well,
Okay.
I had to turn it down a little bit more because that jump sound was very loud. So I was just switching back and forth.
Yes.
between
I
the
was going to get around to rebalancing the sounds, but then, oh no, the game's crashing on exports, so that kind of became the last-minute focus.
There is a flying eye.
There is also,
Yeah.
if you push escape to get to the pause menu, you can also adjust the sound effects volume individually.
Oh, sure. Maybe I'll do that.
Oh, cool.
Which I'm very proud of, because it's able to figure out how to do all that in Godot and implement it, so I'm really proud that I was able to figure all that out.
Okay, so I can press shift to do something. I press 1 or 2 to choose my spell, but how do I cast the spell?
You cannot cast the spell until you sacrifice it, and that is something that I need to work on in the wording, because in the original game it was a little more obvious, but I changed the way sacrificing works when I redid it in Godot, because frankly the original way was a lot more complex than it needed to be. But basically the idea is you have spells, but you can't use them until you do what I'm currently calling a sacrifice, but when you sacrifice, you then reduce the total amount of sanity you have, so then it's basically a question of balancing getting access to abilities and having enough maximum sanity to be able to stay alive.
Yeah. So these guys operate on boo logic, right?
Sort of,
If you
yeah.
look at them, do they turn around?
Not quite. If you get close enough to them, they turn around. But also if they get close enough, they can get into attack range, so one thing you can do that I don't explicitly spell out is that if you charge at them, that actually is very effective at scaring them away.
Yeah. I there's not a lot. I kind of all I'm reading from it is that they have boo logic. If I look at them, they turn away. That's all I really can understand.
That's fair.
There's not. Yeah, I'll have to find a way to communicate that elsewhere.
Well, and so far, basically, I'm mostly one-to-oneing what I used for the original Sanity Wars, which was thrown together, so
Yeah.
I haven't had... Like, I think ideally I'd want, like, that flying kind of enemy to do kind of more of a kamikaze attack, because that would be a lot more interesting to play with and dodge, but yeah, that's just something that I'm not worrying about addressing right now.
Yeah. What
Yeah, you
threat
can like
do they
leave it
pose
to
at the
me
moment?
and come to it later.
What threat do they pose? Like, if you walk into them, do you take damage? Do you lose sanity?
If they get close enough to you, they do an attack that causes you to lose sanity, and it's not balanced all that well right now. They're not as threatening as they should be. But again, that was one of the things that I meant to do before, balance out a little bit better before starting, but then didn't get to.
Well, I will say, the fact that they're just sort of a nuisance, and certainly now that I figure out how to get rid of them, my main action here is exploring the world, and so I don't really want to be stopping and like struggling to fight these guys all the time, because it's kind of never ending. So I don't mind that they're pretty easy to dismiss. I guess it depends on what my next verb is going to be. Like, what's my goal after I discover this whole map? Because I think I might have done, unless that's the jump I need to make.
And I
You
think you're
have-
looking for a portal.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're looking for portals, and that's something that is currently not communicated in text, but should be at some point. Is that there's basically more than one map, and each map is connected to what is technically an adjacent map by portals.
Okay.
Yeah, all the flavor text was basically stolen directly from the original, so I haven't had a chance to update it to actually have it make more sense.
Now, Josh, one design question that I didn't like have a place that I really landed on when I was playing, but I experienced a huge variance in my play. Like, some plays I would have the experience that Mark is having, where the portal is in literally the last corner of the map that you go to, and then other times it was just bam, it was right there immediately. And I was wondering, how do you feel about that? Like, would you ever put anything in that would like sort of soften that randomness?
I'm not opposed to it. Right now, it's purely RNG with some logic to make sure it doesn't spawn in really stupid, like, impossible locations.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not something I've gotten around to addressing yet. Kind of where things are at right now is I'm working on getting this working first, and then fine-tuning it to actually play nicely.
No, totally makes sense. Thinking a few steps ahead in terms of just the design. But I think it's the sort of thing where like the exploration, at least to me, like felt really good when I was playing. So you can definitely address some questions after the fact for sure.
Yeah,
I wonder if it would be. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm having some difficulty like where do I go now? Like I feel like obviously I'm just missed some part of the map, and I don't know if it's because it's hard to reach, or I've just been going the wrong way. And I think I'm having trouble like having like mental wayfinding. Like I recognize this part, I recognize this part, I recognize this part, but like, am I here again just because I fell that jump I tried to make, or am I here because I'm actually going this way?
I think this is stuff you're not reaching. One of your powers is you can fly to the places that you can't jump to.
Can he actually use that right now? Does he have that power?
If he does not have the sacrifice for it, and so you would have to sacrifice to gain access to it. But yes, that is part of the map design. Is that it's in some places it's inconvenient or outright impossible to get somewhere without being able to use the fly spell. So that's currently one of the design decisions that I've been
It strikes me that it may be impossible for Mark to get to the upper right corner of the map, and if the portal is up there, if that's possible,
that's the one place I haven't been able to reach. I just assumed there was nothing up there because I couldn't reach it.
The portal is probably up there then.
Yeah, that is what I was thinking.
This jump right here, if you're watching the stream, it'll take a second to get to. This jump is also kind of tricky.
It's so tight.
And once I finally got that, I thought I would find what I was looking for, but then there's the other jump after, which is probably impossible.
I think you've actually been up there. I think you've been up there before.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was
going the other way, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of part of the idea.
See, that's
that
also
some of these jumps are just a giant pain in the butt unless you actually use some of the abilities that are designed to make you navigate more easily.
So I'm going to restart this because I don't think it's not. I'm not giving a fair reading to the game.
That's fair.
We'll just chalk it up to RNG and we know that you'll solve it later. No worries. And let's.
Okay, now the game is going to take a little bit while to load. That's because I haven't implemented loading screens yet for when the game resets.
It didn't seem to give me any trouble.
It actually seems faster on the build than it has been in the preview. Like it was taking like a good 5-10 seconds at some points during my dev building process, but the release seems to be going like a couple seconds at most.
That's good.
But that is something I do eventually want to address because as I start adding bigger maps, that's just gonna keep getting increasingly worse.
Yeah. Okay, so I found a book also in my previous playthrough. What does that give me?
Those are the tomes.
Okay.
So those are the things you are supposed to be looking for. And
they're not consumable or anything. They're points. They're coins.
They're points, basically, yes.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure because I couldn't use my spells yet. I assumed that had something to do with it. Like they were, currency for my spells or something like that. But
yeah, one thing that I'm like, this current iteration of Sanity Wars is basically we're rebuilding it and making it better based on the jam version, but ultimately I want to take the mechanics that were made for this and then make a different game on top of them, one with a theme that makes a little more sense, maybe some story. But one of the things that I was thinking about is like different types of things you can find randomly that then contribute as like a resource or something that you can then use to upgrade your capabilities or whatnot.
Yeah. So I'm lost again. Is there an obvious place I missed?
I'm gonna fire up the build and make sure that something dumb didn't happen and you suddenly can't actually spawn portals.
Yeah, it's looking like there's not even a portal in this map, but...
Yeah.
There definitely should be something, and I'm surprised that both times you haven't found something by now.
Yeah, well, I'd be pleased to know it wasn't my fault.
So, Josh, I have to ask, because it's been a while since I've actually played this, why can he not fly right now?
Because he has not sacrificed the spell slot that gives him access to the fly ability.
So how does he do that, then?
So you would use the number keys 1 or 2 to select which spell, and then I believe I coded it to shift, so hold down shift, and eventually it ends up...
Oh, he's doing that right now, right?
The left
done
shift.
that.
Okay, so now he can fly, right?
That's the because you did the first spell, which is the fireball.
Okay. But he can then also sacrifice for the other one, right?
Yeah,
he
he
just
could also-
sacrifice some sanity. And maybe getting some cancer.
Yeah.
There we go.
And so how do I fly then if I now have the ability to?
You then cast your spell with
And-
spacebar.
Oh, spacebar. Okay. Okay.
Yay!
Dude.
Wait, what happened? So
Oh,
okay.
you lost all your sanity.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I was sort of kind of
Sacrifice.
paying casual attention to the bar, but it was like 2 different pinks, so maybe I wasn't reading it right. It felt like I still had a bunch left.
You've succumbed
Well-
to the terrors assaulting you, crushed in the Dread Overlord's grasp.
Oh no!
There is nothing now to stop the Dread Overlord from conquering the world.
I'm sorry, I forgot about the sanity bar also. I was just sitting here going, yeah, use your spells, and then you died.
So using your spells consumes the sanity. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So you sacrifice to gain access, so that takes away your total sanity. But then using a spell uses up available sanity, so then you have to. Your sanity is basically your health and your spellcasting energy.
Okay.
That's like,
And then it slowly rebuilds.
ROM
Yep.
and something else, right?
So because I haven't, these enemies are, this might be why you were saying you want to make these enemies a little tougher, because I don't see a reason why I can't just fly all the time. Like what other than stymieing my progress, what is the design or reason to have this ability cost sanity? Like, I can sort of see the storytelling reason, but I don't know what that
Yeah.
gives the game.
Because the jam theme was sacrifice.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
that's-
was the original reason for sure. But
Sure.
I think it's also an interesting mechanic to be having your energy also be your health in a way. So I wanted to play a little more with
Yeah.
that.
But like, I
One
guess
thing that occurs to me is that like it is like not immediately intuitive. I like that you're sacrificing, or that you have this ability to sacrifice something that you start with.
Yeah.
Additionally, it seems like when would you ever not want to use it? And maybe there's a really good answer to that. But
I'll also
what
say,
I'm wondering is, yeah.
other than that impossible corner from that first map, I don't
Right.
know, because when you're flying, you immediately stop flying as soon as you touch the ground, and so it's not that useful of a spell.
It actually should not. It actually should only. Sorry, I'm stammering because I'm doing things at the same time.
Sure.
It should last a couple of seconds, regardless of whether you touch the ground.
Okay. Oh, I see.
So
I'm just reading that wrong then. But
And
yeah,
I
I
think-
mean, my jump is high enough, and maybe I would have appreciated it in that first map, but I'm not really sure what I would use it for, because I can kind of get everywhere, and even a
Yeah,
little
that's-
faster than when I'm flying, because my
Yeah,
jump
and that's partly
moves
on my
faster.
design too. Like, I literally built all of the maps this week, so I haven't had a lot of time to really fine tune it.
Sure.
Because like I built it a little bit with, well, I don't want to make too much inaccessible without skillful navigation and jumping, so make sure most of the things are jumpable, but I also need to make sure that fly is useful, so there needs to either be a huge inconvenience to it, or in some places, or make it flat out impossible. So that's kind of design balance. And
Well, you know what that is that's level design. So if you're making
Yeah.
RNG maps, then you've kind of immediately come up with a game-breaking problem, or a
Yeah, exactly.
design-breaking problem. You have to decide if that level of randomness in terms of like how much a player has to sacrifice in order to get through a map is variable per playthrough. In which case that might feel unfair, but then that's core to the design of like you never know if it's going to be easy. Like this one was a cakewalk, and like kind of a relief versus a especially challenging one at the time you least can handle a challenge. That's a certain kind of, that has a kind of a horror game mechanic that I think players would respond to, but you'd have to design for that. You have to do that on purpose. Or you are designing sort of like tricky platforming levels, in which case you need to have much more bespoke layouts. Am I sort of framing that challenge in a way that makes sense?
yeah, definitely when there's RNG, then it's a lot harder to deal with your design, and that's one of the reasons I was thinking about like for like the future version to, instead of necessarily, to basically have like various resources that you can use as your pickups, so there's a lot of things you can find regardless, but then still have some places where you gate off access based on abilities you have, so you can get access to some things, but other things might just be too difficult to get to without you getting access to your some abilities or whatever.
Yeah,
That death
yeah.
effect is pretty sweet.
I
Okay, what do you guys want to bet that there is no portal in these levels? Like,
Yeah, like,
Josh, have you figured that out?
Yeah, I was looking through and I'm not seeing portals on my end either, so that might just be another crashing thing, which is really unfortunate because
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time setting all that up.
All right.
Well,
Well, we got,
tell you what,
we got
let's-
a couple of people in this who is might have an interesting answer to this question. What would be the easiest way, you folks think, to inject more of a sense of like place into the game? Because the reason why I ask is 2 times Mark has gotten lost during this in 2 playthroughs. I'm wondering, like, is there a way to make the background like less samey without doing too much work? What do you folks think? Because what I would wonder is, like, if you were to just do something as simple as have a like, you know how you have like that tile set in the background where you have different tiles
Yeah.
where you have like the like eye guys and then also
Yeah.
the rocks. Like if there was like a gradient where different things occurred more as you went like
Yeah.
down to the bottom of the map or even like left to right, you could probably
Mhm.
make the sections feel a little bit more different from each other without having to like handcraft a lot of things.
I think there's a simpler solution, which is to
Please.
have like a set of 10 landmarks, like a giant boulder, a skeleton, you know, a bunch of leaves that are just a couple tiles wide, and then randomly distribute those through the map. And so,
Oh.
you know, I think Lane's solution is probably more elegant, but also would take a lot more work. I think just
Yeah,
to test this idea, because you really want the player to build a mental model of the map without giving them a mini map necessarily, right? And so I think
Yeah,
all you really
we-
need is just a
kind
couple
of-
of signposts, and then the players can say, okay, I'm west of the dragon's egg or whatever, you know.
Yeah, we did plan to eventually get some background elements in there. I haven't had time to make any of them yet, but it hadn't occurred to me that you might need those as landmarks to get around. I was just thinking of them as like decorative.
It's gonna make the game feel a lot better.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
All right.
Although I mean, not to make it, this feedback of me getting lost is probably less valuable because I would probably have discovered the portal a lot earlier, and so maybe it's not
Yes.
as bad of a thing. But I think there's always, I mean, you have to decide, like, do you want the player to get a little lost? In which case you design your layouts and your tile maps to engender that. Or if it's just a consequence of the way it looks, you know, then you have to decide, is that good? Do I like that? Or do I want to stop that? So each of these choices, it really is reflective of like, what do you want? How do you want the player to feel? Because there's definitely a lot of like, you want some kind of notion of frustration and some aimlessness and the theming of the game seems to suggest, like when I got lost the first time, I thought I was supposed to get lost, you know?
Yeah.
But if I'm not
no,
supposed
that
to,
was
then yeah,
good.
those choices gotta make.
That is good feedback because we do want the player to get a little lost, but it wasn't supposed to be that hard. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and it didn't help that the portals never spawn because eventually you stumble into one of them and then you can move on to somewhere else and, oh, there's a new place to explore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, question 2. What do we think about the maximum fall speed? Do you folks believe in terminal velocity?
There should have been terminal velocity in there.
Maybe your terminal velocity is like actually realistic, and my like entitled gamer expectations are that I'll kind of be a little floaty. And the reason why I ask is, at least for my like old man brain, like falling down at like a breakneck speed, that's something that triggered me to get a little bit lost, of being like, oh, we're just like suddenly like 3 screens away. I'm not sure where we are anymore.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that happened to me in many times where I kind of, once I landed, I'm like, oh, I recognize this space. So I didn't quite feel that the way you may have, Lane.
Yeah.
But I think I easily could have been more frustrated by that. Because I guess when you're falling, it'd be nice to be able to sort of like land on a ledge instead of go all the way down. And the slower you fall, the more opportunity the player has to do that.
Yeah, that's good feedback because I think I I've been basically reusing the same kind of jump fall logic that I've been reusing in Godot for a while now, so I haven't had much opportunity to tweak it. That's good feedback to go revisit and see what kind of limitations I can apply to make it feel better.
Yeah, and I will say, just general feedback on the controls. You jump pretty high, which seems to be necessary, but also I'm hitting the ceiling a lot, and that doesn't feel great. Like, there's a sort of, this is how high a tile is, and I kind of naturally, maybe this is just bias from, like, decades of platformers, but I kind of want to not clear that by a factor of 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel supernatural, not supernatural, but supernatural to just be able to jump so high without a lot of like space in the levels. Now, I think what you could do is you could open up the open spaces a lot more. You could have the eyeballs not be able to travel through the land, and those two changes might make the like the hunt and evade portions of like evading the enemies more interesting, and it would make it a little bit scarier to be in a big open space where they could come from anywhere, and you could still have that very high jump.
I was just gonna say the possibility of those eyeballs becoming very threatening at some point, and maybe even moving around more slowly. Like then you would have this feeling of this big force chasing you around, and that would like change up where you can move based on that.
A lumbering threat feels very cool for this game, I think. There's a suggestion in chat too. I just wanted to call this out. So Jason Scott in chat says another way to do it would be to cordon off subsections, so there's only one way in and out. I like that a lot. I mean, that is a sort of a different design. So you may not like that or what it does to the game, but I do kind of like the idea of just like looking around and then leaving that section behind, you know, or like the portal's not in here, I'll check the next, you know, wing of the mansion, you know. That might be a way to, and then you could let the player get really lost because they can always just go back out of that section, you know?
Yeah, that's really good feedback. I'll be honest, though, the reason the eyeballs can float anywhere right now is because I didn't want to deal with nav meshes.
Yeah, fair enough.
At least not yet.
Yep.
Even if they were just like kind of like the ghost in Spelunky, where it ignores navs as well, but it just like is able to like slowly follow around you. That's the sort of lumbering thing that I was picturing.
Yeah, I definitely think the game would benefit from different enemy types because the eyeball was kind of always intended to be mostly a harrying kind of enemy, and the game definitely would benefit from more enemy types that could do a lot higher damage that require more skill to evade. Like the original Sanity Wars, there was originally supposed to be a ground enemy that did that much more damage, but then basically is only spawning in patrols some areas. I never got around to implementing it. I'm still debating whether or not for the Reimagined release if I'm gonna do that or if I'm just gonna keep Sanity Wars as one enemy type. But yeah, from a design standpoint of this type of thing, it would definitely benefit from having a lumbering enemy or really more enemy types in general.
All right, next up on my list, and by the way, we're going to crank up the entitlement level up to 11 here, because, hey baby, I've been playing a certain little indie game called Metroid Dread, and I like collecting stuff a whole bunch. I'm wondering, you have a couple of potential collection mechanics here with your spells. Right now you're saying, I'm sacrificing health, which is something that I start the game with. Right now, like, I think that finding the book, finding the portal, both feel really good to me. Like, I really enjoy those. What if I could find the spells or find something I could sacrifice to get the spells?
Yep, that is on my list of things to consider.
Yeah, I do like because the levels are a lot of nothing. There's like tons of dead ends, and I think having more things to find to like build up your options, I think would make a lot of sense.
I completely 100% agree.
And it would make a lot of the empty space feel valuable to the design if there was more opportunity. You know, because I'm going to head this way for a while, and like, oh, there's nothing at the end of this road. That wouldn't feel as frustrating if I was looking for 3 things instead of just one thing.
I 100% agree, and that is something that I am pondering ideas for to how to address, because I completely agree that looking for the one tome and then looking for the portal, that's fun until you get used to it, and then it's like, it's now you have these giant levels for not a whole lot of space. So yeah, I definitely want more things.
Josh, are you taking notes? Because I like all these suggestions.
I started taking notes like 15 minutes ago. I probably should have started earlier, honestly.
Well, happily, you can review the video on YouTube after the fact, including suggestions and comments from chat. So that'll be there for you. Not quite as compact as a nice set of notes, but it's there for you.
My laziness is partially salvaged.
Hey, quick question. Not to make you guys do all the work here, but I was just wondering, do you have suggestions of what would be good pick-upable items in this type of story environment kind of thing? Anybody?
Oh, yeah. Well, I like a really easy one for this kind of thing is, and especially if you're going to work on the jump anyway, I think that the level of verticality that this game has suggests either the classic like jump boots or the like ability to like ricochet off the wall. So I mean like just hang and then do like a jump off of the wall.
Yeah, if you drop the jump height like by 100% or like by 50%, so it was only half as much, and then you had a wall jump ability that you would collect, and then you wouldn't even have to collect it in every level, right? Maybe it resets. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I'm not sure how that makes sense narratively, but if it reset in every level, then maybe you wouldn't need it every time. And so I would like to find things that would make my journey easier, but if I'm speed running, I could get away with not having to find those things.
And that would also make the coding part a lot easier, because having a code of like, oh, you're going to have to be able to encounter the jump boots before you encounter the jump boots requirement thing could make this much, much, much more complicated to put together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's something that I was considering was like if I'm making spells something that you find, which is really cool, but then I also have to make sure the spells don't spawn anywhere that the player can't actually get to before they get the spell.
I do have a question for you, which is, would it be possible, let's imagine that if we still are in the world where we sacrifice our sanity to get the spells, but I might need any one of like a dozen different spells at a time. A dozen's a big number, but bear with me. What if instead I'm finding like pieces of brain in order to like increase my sanity bar, and then I can choose what to turn that sanity into in terms of spells?
Yep, that's one of the solutions that I came up that I've come up with to deal with it.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, I think maybe because I have a limited window into this game because I wasn't able to find a portal and move on. But I'm not. I mean, it's the core concept of the game. But I'm not finding a lot of value in spending my health to use my powers. Partly because the eyeballs are easy to avoid, so I don't need to shoot them, and the jump is high enough, so I don't need to fly. But even if I did need those things, I don't, because there's so much empty space. I mean, all I'm getting from it is that it stymies me. I don't know that it gives me any interesting choices to make, or sacrifices in terms of, other than just spending it to go faster. You know what I mean? And I feel like if I'm just a little patient, then I just never need to sacrifice my sanity ever. And so why is that a mechanic? I'm really being like aggressive now with like challenging the core premise of the game. But I don't know that it was proven to me. If that makes sense.
And I completely agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that one of the key like design questions that Josh is already grappling with, and I think they're both trying to figure out is whether this is the kind of game where it has like that like hard Metrovania stuff where like you must do something before you can get past a obstacle.
Yeah.
And I think that like figuring out like, because it seems like it could go either way, but I think that is like one of the first questions asked to sort of be firmly answered.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, and I think I mean I always like games with risk reward, and so I would love to see a way to like a risky strategy that pays off or doesn't. Then I would feel much more in control of how tedious the experience is. Like if I tried to move fast and failed, like I'm trying to like get to the portal, or I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm describing this sort of abstractly because it doesn't quite describe how the game plays yet. But if I were to, like, I could play it slow and have sort of a guaranteed victory, or I could try to go fast, and then when it doesn't work, I could be like, well, I tried to take the fast way, you know.
Yep.
And so it wouldn't bother me as much. It'd be much more of a struggle of my own making. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
you know that seems like it could be really like a natural way for it to fall out. If we imagine that this was a randomly put together like Link to the Past or Metroid game, but and you found stuff that that you could spend that like gave you sanity, and you could spend the sanity to unlock abilities. The slow way, the grindy way of doing it would be to explore absolutely everything as much as you could, figure out what is the one piece that is the most valuable to spend on, and then spend it on that, and then that would unlock the most things. But the risky way would be to the first barrier that you run into, that you're just gonna jam that. I'm just gonna get those like wall kick boots or whatever, and then you're just gonna go that way. I think that
you know what, I like that a lot. Yeah. And ultimately, you want to give the player some way to quickly make a guess. So like, oh, I've just entered this zone. I can see that this is the kind of level that's going to have a lot of tall platforms. So I definitely need whatever, the fly or jump boots or wall, whatever it is that gets you that. So I'm going to make a gamble on going for that. And I know that those are always in dark areas. So I see a shadow over there. So I'm going to go in that direction to find, do you know what I mean? Like, let the player, give the player some information which to make bets on in terms of where to go or what to look for or what to use. But not so much information that they know for certain how this level is laid out. And I think all of that can still work in a randomized, randomly generated levels. But you need a lot more visual cues and more things for the player, more information for the player to then make their choices with.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Okay, this is so helpful because Josh and I have just been staring at this same game for so long that it's hard to come up with novel ideas like that.
Good, I'm glad.
Well, I've actually come up with a number of things, but for my part, I've been putting off like doing design changes because, like I said, stage one is just getting this working, and then also a thing that I want to do before moving on with other design things is I want to add polish, because that's something, because I've done a lot of game jam experiment kind of things, I've never really had taken the time to polish what I've made, and that's like half the game right there. So that's kind of my focus So that's like my focus right now is like get this stable, get a good foundation, and then get experience putting in polish and seeing how it feels. Basically, how the flawed design that I know is flawed feels with polish, and then make the design changes that basically make this awesome.
Yeah. And you have to be comfortable with letting some of that, like putting in that polish and knowing that you might have to dismantle some of it later. But that's cool. That's part of the process. So.
Yeah, exactly. I know that not all of it's gonna stay, but I just like I said, I've spent so much time like trying things and experimenting that I haven't had much experience trying to add polish. And like one of the things that I've made is a game of Hangman, and that was like the one project where I actually took a lot of time to put polish in it, and everyone who's played it has said it's basically the best game of Hangman they've ever played, and I'm 100% sure
it's a sweet game.
and I'm 100% sure it's because of the polish. So that's something that I really want to get better at.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that you are signing yourself up for is when you want to iterate on the design in the future, you're gonna feel as though, oh, I want to test out adding like ice attack or something, adding icicles. You're gonna feel the need to polish that to be at the same level as everything else. So your iterations is going to be either slower if you do it that way, or emotionally painful for you if you don't do it that way. That's the one trade-off. Otherwise, I think that everything you're talking about with wanting to like polish the heck out of the basic concept, I think it's really good, because I think that if you can make your basic jump and exploration feel good without any of that extra design sugar, I think it's going to feel, I think that you'll have a super solid base.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like there's I forget where it comes from, but like how they took like forever perfecting the movement of Mario 64 before they built anything else. That's something that's really stuck with me, and yeah, that's exactly kind of what I'm trying to do, is get the base feel good and then put all the cool stuff on top of it, because if it feels good to just do the basic stuff, imagine how much more awesome it'll be to do the basic stuff and then put all the really cool awesome stuff on top of it.
Yeah. And if you put a lot of time into that first bit that you decide not to change later, then everything else flows from that, and you're not just having a thing full of parts, you're weaving a tapestry, right? And there's a lot of risk in there, because any little change you make later is you have to unravel and reweave it, which makes the longer you go, the more changes that will entail. But it can be what you need to make ultimately the final thing you're going for.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry. Anything more to add, Josh?
I was gonna say something, and now I completely whiffed on what it was.
Well, we'll have to leave you with your notes and move on to the next thing, right, Lane? We have one more thing tonight.
Oh my gosh, are we really gonna do this?
I think we really are. We've got half an hour for
we
you.
have half an hour. Okay, we better. Well, this is gonna be a lightning fast round of this game. Okay, I know that Rebecca does. Josh, do you have a copy of Tabletop Simulator?
I do not at the moment. I can get one though.
Ooh. All right, I will send one your way. Oh wait, I lied to you. I'm not your Steam friend. You should get it yourself. All right, I'm hosting.
What's the password, Lane?
The password is IGDATC.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh man, we're gonna do the lightning round on explaining this game. Holy smokes! Ooh. Otherwise, Josh, you could just watch. I think this game plays better with 3 anyway.
That's fair. I'm fine with watching.
Okay, fantastic. The game
Thank
name
you so
is
much
called.
for playing our game, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for bringing it on. The game name is Triumph, and the password is IGDATC.
Is it all
Easy
caps?
to remember. The game, no, it's all non-caps.
I had all caps.
Oh.
Did you? Oh, well, oopsie daisy. I didn't think it was caps, but I must have done caps. I must have been excited when I made this room.
Okay.
It was a loudly created password.
Yeah.
IGDATC.
Or the password doesn't care about caps.
What?
I think it does.
No,
I think
I
it
typed-
should.
does,
I
yeah.
typed it in all
There.
lowercase.
Okay, so it has to be caps. It's not letting me in. So does it have to be all capitals? You
It
said?
does,
does.
yeah, all caps, yeah.
Okay.
You know what? To facilitate speed, I will just be the camera here. I will sit this one out.
Perfect. All right. Cool. Okay. Fantastic.
Are you
We're
gonna
gonna
look
have.
at everybody's cards?
No, there's not a game master option for me.
Oh, is there not? Oh, there is only one for me, I guess. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Rebecca, would you please change your seat to be down here? Regretfully, you cannot be purple in this game. This is a cruel world.
Okay. Wait, I'm so sorry. How do I change my color? I don't know how to do that.
You can click on your name up in the top right and hit change color.
Okay. Can I be green?
You can be green, yes. Okay, so this is your deck of cards here. And Rebecca, have you ever played a beautiful game by the name of Dominion?
No, I have not.
Or any other deck building card game?
I have played Magic.
Magic. Okay, sweet. All right, so there are some basic concepts there that'll be helpful. Basically, you are going to, over the course of this game, upgrade this deck. You can see right now it has a bunch of simple cards in it. 1s, 2s, 3s. And, of course, the most important card of all, everybody's favorite, the Magic Hammer. So, here's how stuff works. On your turn, you will play one card. You will deal that much damage to the enemy. And I will show you which enemy that you're going to be fighting. It is going to be the Brood Mother. All right, so she has 18 health.
Spider.
Whoa.
She's got 18 health. So you can imagine if you were to play a 3, she would go tick, 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 down to 15 health. And then it would be Dale's turn, then Dale would play a card. Your goal in this game is to accrue the fame and glory of the realm by being the one to get the killing blow. If you've ever played Dota or League of Legends, you know how important it is to kill steal from your friends and your enemies. So your goal is to be the one to kill it. So
Dale and I are both fighting the spider, though, right?
Dale and you are both fighting. Yeah, you guys, you are what we call in the business frenemies or co-competitors. You're both working on the same side, but only one of you will get to collect this beautiful card add it to your collection and get that one shiny victory point off of it.
All right.
Okay, so in this game, like with other deck builders, we will just group up these cards quick. One handy thing I wanted to share with folks is that you can hit R to shuffle a deck, and then if you hover over the deck and hit 5, you will draw 5 cards. Your hand size during this game is going to be 5. At the end of your turn, if you have fewer than 5 cards in your hand, you will draw back up to 5.
Oops.
Yeah, so your 2 options are you can hover over it and hit 5, or you can pull cards one by one into your hand. Cool. All right.
Okay.
So you can see that you got a mix of cards. Now, at the bottom of some cards is a special ability. You can see that the buckler card here has the ability block. What that means is when you take damage, you can discard any number of cards that have block on them to prevent that much damage. By the way block works is each card that you block with for a single source of damage has to be unique. So you can block with a buckler and a plate mail, but you can't block with 2 bucklers. All right.
Okay.
Let's pull up. Let's get this fight started here. Oh, by the way, the last thing that is going to be valuable to know is that one of the cards in your deck is called the Magic Hammer. And what the Magic Hammer has on it is it tells you to forge a card in your discard pile. So you'll take one of the cards that you previously played or discarded, and you will forge it. And what that means is, so like let's say I forge a 3, I can make it higher, I can grab a 4, or I can make it lower, I could grab a 2, or I can enchant it. So I could get rid of my 3, and I could replace it.
Make it magical.
Yes, with a magical 3. And the 2 options for magical 3s here are Smoking Cinder and Volatile Stave. And to run through a couple of these abilities real quick, when you forge this card, when you first create this, add this to your deck, add this to your discard pile, you will do this effect. With this one, you'll gain a potion. You'll just gain this top card here. When you create this, you'll immediately do 3 damage to the enemy. When you forge this, you gain a potion. When you play these cards, you do some sort of effect. And then this guy has a special effect when you discard a card. So, any major questions before we roll on?
Seems pretty.
Oh,
I think I got
just
it.
what I like to hear with 23 minutes left on the clock. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Okay. We are going to reveal that the enemy's first attack is going to be, let's shuffle them up.
Shovel.
It is going to be Flurry, everybody's favorite. Okay, so on the enemy's turn, she is going to deal 1 damage to everybody, and then she's going to do it again. So for a total of 2. The enemy will go last. So we're going to go clockwise, and we'll start with Dale. Dale, would you please take the first turn?
Oh, I gotta draw some cards. Nope, I just drew all my cards. Excuse
Well,
me.
that's so many cards. You can't draw that
Jason
many.
Scott has revealed that his high school nickname was the Magic Hammer. I love it.
What?
Dale, what are you doing? I look away for 1 second, and what has happened over here?
I looked at all my cards. I looked at all my cards accidentally because of Tabletop Simulator.
Accidentally.
Accidentally.
Plastic Dale.
Whatever. I'm gonna pike this giant spider.
Ouch. Down to 15. Oh, and by the way, the structure of this is there are 3 acts and then a final boss. We'll probably play through 2 acts here, and we will do 1 enemy per player in each act. So we'll fight a total of 4 enemies. Anyway, Rebecca, your turn.
Okay. I will also pike. I just put that out there, right there.
Correct. Yep. So the one difference between this game and a lot of games is you will want to sort of spread out the cards in a discard pile area, just like that'll end up being kind of big, because if you have like a Magic Hammer, for example, you can use that to craft a card in your discard pile, so it's handy to spread them out so you can see all of them. Anyway, at the end of your turn, you can hover over your deck and draw a card. Just hit 1, and you'll draw 1. Get back up to 5. Okay, so enemy's turn. We ease back over to the Broodmother, and on her turn, she is going to use Flurry. So she'll do 1 damage to everybody, and then 1 damage again. So, I should probably grab you folks some health trackers here. And set yourself to 6 max HP.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I
Let me
block?
just shrink those down a smidge.
One or both?
Yes, you certainly can. So flurry happens. Now you are going to take 1 damage. So you can discard a card with block to block that.
I'll block
If
that.
you want to.
I would like to.
Oh, good choice, Dale.
And I'm doing that also?
Yes, you can. Now, if you feel like it's in your strategic interest to hold on to that so you can attack with the next turn, you don't have to, but you may, and it's a good idea right now because you got precious health. Now, Flurry says you then do it again, so you're going to take 1 more damage off of that, and you can make that same choice again.
I would like to make that same choice. Ta-da.
Bravo! I have tears in my eyes.
Can I? Okay, my only block card is another buckler, and you said I can't use that twice on the same turn.
Oh, now this is easily one of the most unnecessarily confusing things. I just haven't really heard or come up with an elegant solution yet. I like the flurry attack, but it has 2 separate instances of damage, so you actually can block twice with 2 bucklers.
Okay, so I have another buckler, and here it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Neat. All right, we're done. Now, you don't redraw again till the end of your turn, so if you do block, you do have fewer options on your turn. On the Broodmother's next turn, she is going to use a blast. That is 2 damage to everybody. But right now, it's Dale's turn.
Okay. I'm going to use a magic hammer.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm going to forge my... I'll forge my pike into a warhammer.
Okay.
Oop. Putting back my pike. Oop, no, I'm putting back too many things. Putting back my pike. Okay.
Very good. Yeah, so Rebecca, you can see that when somebody forges something, they return the card they're getting rid of back to the piles here, and she collects a card that is 1 higher, lower, or enchanted, and puts it in her discard pile.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
My magic hammer was 2, so not only do I hit my irons, I hit my broodmaster as well.
Correct. Yeah, Broodmother is down at a shaky 10 health. Dale, you can draw back up, and Rebecca,
right.
your turn.
Okay. So pike again,
All
and
right.
deal some 3 damage.
Bam! All right, 7. You were hit with a blast, 2 damage to each of you.
All right.
Wait.
Oh wait, I forgot to draw. I forgot to draw.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, I would like to block one of those.
Cool.
I have a buckler.
Yep. Okay,
There
so
it
you
is.
both take 1 damage by the looks of it.
Okay.
Ouch. Okay. Next attack from our enemy is going to be, it will howl on its turn. So it does no damage, but it applies a permanent buff to itself.
A howling
Dale.
spider sounds terrifying.
It does indeed.
It's probably because you don't.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Oh.
So I would like to...
So I think one of the key things... Oh, no, please go ahead, Dale.
Hi.
I was going to short sword the spider.
Okay. Gotcha. Spider, boom, down to 5.
Okay, and then I draw back up.
So one key question about this game is, can you set yourself up in a position here, Rebecca, where the enemy has 5 health? You know that you and Dale started with cards 1, 2, and 3. Is it possible for you to position the enemy's health so that you can grab the kill on your turn and get the victory point?
I don't. I'm looking at my cards, and I don't think so. Unless
You may not be
I
able
can
to do
forfeit
that.
my turn.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna either. Because the cards I have, Dale probably also has. So I'm just gonna go for piking it again.
Okay.
Because it's a why not?
So
Why
this is
not?
a case where you may not have wanted to use all your bucklers in defense, because then you'd have it to chip away to force Dale to bring it down to a point where you could deal the final
Wait,
blow.
you can attack with bucklers?
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
you can. So if you have a buckler,
I thought
that'd be
were-
the card to play.
I thought they were for blocking.
They
Or
are.
only for, okay, so they can do two things. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. That is a good part, and actually, you are definitely not the only person who has said that. So I actually should include that as one of the things I say, because that is a key thing to know when you're going into the first fight. Thank you.
Do you want to undo your play then? Because I think that'd be fair, wouldn't you say?
No, I don't. I don't have any more bucklers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, we'd have to take it back a couple of turns.
Sure.
Okay, so
look
on.
what I already did.
Yes, sounds good. So on the Broodmother's turn, she is going to use the Howl ability. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab out a strength token. Okay, from now on, strike attacks are going to do +1 damage. So her next intent is going to be a blast on the enemy's next turn. She'll do 2 damage to everything. So Dale, go ahead.
Okay, I am going to Magic Hammer.
Perfect. Okay, so you can go ahead and do your Forge. You will also get this Broodmother card. So you, starting right now, have Potion Craft, so you get to look at another potion whenever you gain one and choose which one to get. And you have 1 VP.
Okay, I would like to
Yay.
hammer my sword into this acid spike.
Cool. All right. Very good.
You mean
Okay.
the howling spider?
Yeah, the howling spider.
Oh, that guy's out.
You mean
That
the
guy is in.
howling spider was killed? A howling spider was the enemy?
Yeah, it was. And Dale killed it, so don't worry. So also, KJ is here.
Hello.
Welcome.
Okay. Cool. Next enemy. Second one of Act 1, and the last one out of Act 1 is going to be an enemy with 15 health.
Sometimes
Grim Prophet, and since Dale killed the last enemy, the enemy goes here in the turn order. So Rebecca, you take the next turn here.
Okay.
And I believe you should have 5 cards in your hand. Just looking at what's going on. Same thing with you.
Yeah. Whoop. I have a magic hammer.
Oh my gosh! Finally, the point of the game.
What do I do with it? I'm putting it right there.
Okay.
And so I can take any of my discarded items and do something fancy to them.
Yes.
That is correct.
So if you
Okay,
pick
so
a
I-
pike, you can go up
Yeah.
1 to the Warhammer. You could go down 1 to the broadsword, or you can go magicify it to the whatever this 3 thing is.
Okay, so I could trade in my pike for this thing that is better.
Yes.
Indeed.
Is that-
Yes.
Okay, that's what I will do.
Yeah. Now
Yeah,
keep in mind that there is some maybe it makes more sense later in the game, but to trade something for a lower value because sometimes you want to have a bunch of low value cards in your hand.
So
Oh, yeah, you were talking about right.
Yep.
but I want.
And that same
Correct.
time you were
Ooh.
doing that,
Oh,
forging your Warhammer, you also did 2 damage to the enemy, which is called the
Grim Prophet.
Grim Prophet. Apparently, he
Yes.
just reads me stories that are.
He does. By the way, one last thing. This Warhammer, this actually goes
Yeah.
into your discard pile when you gain a new card.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So by the way, you might be wondering, well, like, what good is that? Well, in this kind of game, in like the deck builder, what will happen is once you go through your deck, you'll shuffle all of these discarded cards back
Yeah.
together, and that will become your new deck.
All right.
Yeah. All right,
So
in
then
your
like
turn.
next round, there'd be cooler stuff in my hands.
Exactly. Yep. And it just keeps getting better over the course of the game. So yeah, you draw back up at the end of your turn, and Dale goes.
I'm gonna pike this thing.
Oof.
Stop reading
Down
those stories to me.
Down to 10. Okay, on its turn, it will use Blast on both of you. That's 2 more damage.
Okay, I have 1 buckler that I would like to play to block 1 damage. So I will take 1 damage. And I'm down to 4.
Okay.
Rebecca, if you've got any bucklers, but I think you were saying you did. Oh, you drew since then. You can play them now, or you can take both
Yeah.
damage.
I have how much damage? Sorry.
2 damage coming your way.
I will take 2 damage.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Yeah, and because at the end of the act everybody heals back up to full, you actually do definitely have some to play around with. All right. So it is now your turn.
Okay. So I have a magic hammer.
Whoa.
Woo!
And oops, I'm trying to pull it out of my hand. It's going in the discard, and then I can take. I have about.
You forage a card from your discard pile.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem.
I forgot. Okay, so I'm gonna take this buckler, and I'm gonna downgrade it to this thing that says 0 on it.
What do you do that for? What's that? What is that?
Well, so that I can have a card that's worth 0.
And what's also nice about it is it will block 1 damage, just like the buckler does.
All right. Dale, your turn.
Okay. I am going to pike this thing again.
Ooh, okay. Very interesting. Down to 5. So, oh wait, I forgot to draw. My bad. I forgot to draw the intent for the monster, but turns out it was blast anyway. Okay, so you are both going to take 2 damage again.
Okay. I'm going to block 1 damage.
Okay.
Oh no, you're at 1.
But first I have to shuffle my cards.
Okay. Rebecca, you can block if you want to, but if you don't want to, that's also all right. Excellent. So that would put you at 2 health. All right. And the enemy's attack on the next turn is going to be Flurry, another 1 and then 1. All right. So we're at 5 on Rebecca's turn.
What are you doing over here, Dale?
What is this? Okay.
I'm just trying to put them
That's so weird.
stack and then shuffle them, and it's not working.
Yeah, might I suggest you do this and then hit G to put them together?
Oh, G for group.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Will we see some sick plays?
Okay, so I blocked 1 of the flurry, but I still take 1 damage, so I should be down to 3 now, right?
Yeah. Okay, so on the enemy's next turn, it's going to be using Flurry, 5 health, Rebecca's turn.
Okay. I have a pike, and I'm gonna use it.
Well, I can't watch. All right. Okay.
It puts Dale in a very advantageous place.
Absolutely. All right. Yep. Grim Prophet down to 2.
Okay. And I have a magic hammer, and I'm going to play it.
Oh,
And I'm
that
going
does
to
it.
turn my buckler into a thing that's worth 0, I guess.
Okay. Cool.
What's that called? A plate mail.
I like how
A
both
plate
of you,
mail.
when you
Yep.
forged plate mail, described it as a thing that does 0. Rather than giving its profit crime. I love that.
I didn't bother zooming in, so all I could see from up here was the 0. So I was like, that's not
That's funny.
Well, it's sort of
Okay.
great minds. You both did that because that's really what matters to you.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't care what it's called.
I appreciate the big number that tells me the only important thing about the card. Less
All right,
detailed.
so we have completed Act 1. We have a blazing 7 minutes left here. So take all your cards, shuffle them all together into a big pile. We will pull out the next esteemed enemy for the next
flip
act.
them, and then I'm going to use my G key to group them.
Yes. Perfect. All right. Nope, not you. Yeah, you're fine.
It's that Emily from that other game.
Yes, it is. Shh, don't tell Wizards of the Coast. Shh. I actually don't think they have that thing copyrighted. I think they don't.
Oh, I wasn't saying it was a Wizard of the Coast thing. I was saying that's a thing
nobody
from
was.
the Sanity Wars remastered in Reimagined.
Oh, Dale, you're so much better at this than I am. Excellent brand management. Okay. So in between rounds here, we level up. So you will go up to, you'll gain a max HP up to 7, and then you will heal all the way back up to 7 health.
So
Additionally,
we went back to the inn and rested, and now we're ready to be hired as mercenary monster hunters, huh?
Yes. Additionally, please hover your mouse over the talent deck and hit the 3 key in order to draw 3 of those.
Okay.
Oh, okay. This is new to me.
Oh, it worked.
Yep. So select one of those talent cards, and you gain that permanently, and just like chuck the other 2 off someplace. And Rebecca, please mouse over the. I should have indicated this better. The talent deck. This blue
Oh,
guy
I'm
over
sorry.
there.
I drew from my own deck. Should I put?
Oh,
I should put.
Yeah, you can put
back.
those right back. Yeah, that'd be better.
Yeah, get those. Go
Get out of there.
Okay. Okay, 3 of these guys. Sorry.
Yep.
Yes.
So select one, gain that as a permanent bonus, and then put the other
Okay.
2
That
away.
one
Okay, I would like this one.
Yeah, Zach made that guy look really good in our game the other day. I'll go ahead and check these.
Okay. Oh, I was gonna chuck them into the grass like I usually do.
Oh, okay. I'm
Very
sorry for
well.
depriving you of that fun. I'm getting a little too hands-on here. My apologies.
No, it's okay. You saw me try to put my cards together in a pile to shuffle them, and they walked across the table all by themselves.
Yes. Oh. Yes. All right. So just to keep everybody. Bill is a flame right, so when she plays a magic hammer, she can choose to do more or less damage. So she can play it as a 1, a 2, or a 3. It still does the forging. And then Rebecca is a oath keeper. That is, if the enemy is about to use a howl or a fiend fire, then she will do an additional damage.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So.
And now the placement of the enemy goes back to its original position, or does that not change?
Currently, I have it where it's always after the last person to kill. So it's after Dale currently.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
So I'm gonna draw 5 cards, right?
Correct.
3, 4, 5. Okay.
All right, and it is Rebecca's turn. Oh yeah,
Okay.
the enemy will reveal its next attack. It's gonna be okay. Yep, the 4th blast. There it is. We were all looking forward to it.
I am gonna use the pike. Here
The
it is.
pike. Bam! Down to 16. All right, Dale.
Okay. I am going to also play a pike.
Okay. Sounds good. 13. All right, so blast 2 damage to both of you.
Okay.
And on its next turn, it is going to use a strike that will be 4 damage.
I am going to
What?
block one of those damages with a
Perfect.
poplar.
Sounds good.
All right.
Cool. And by the way, so just something to be aware of. Next turn, its intent is to strike Rebecca for. It's going to do a total of 4 damage. And since we have a targeting attack, this guy's ability is targeted attacks have the target may discard a card with block to change the target of this attack. You may the new target can do the same. So you can discard a card, any card with block, to bounce this to a different player.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rebecca, your turn.
And so am I the target of that attack?
You currently are. Yeah, this arrow says. Oh wait, no. I'm wrong. It's going to be targeting Dale. I apologize. Yeah, I need to change these arrows. It's like this. Thank you, Dale.
Okay. Is it my
we'll just
turn?
put the intents there. Yes, it is.
Okay. I have a warhammer. 4 damage.
Okay, 4 damage.
Yes.
You go down to 9. Okay, Dale.
Okay. I am going to use my magic hammer
Whoa.
to deal 2. Wait.
Mhm.
I can decide how much damage I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can. Mm.
I'm gonna do 3 damage.
Okay. Oops, my. There we go. Down to 6.
And then I'm gonna reforge my pike
Yes.
into ooh.
Got a lot of options.
Yeah, I know.
Please don't touch the keyboard. Thank you.
into a smoking cinder.
Ooh. All right.
How do I can't pull it. Oh, yeah, there's only one card there.
Yeah. So that goes into your discard pile. Cool. All right.
Okay, and it had some forged language on it.
It does, and that's actually kind of important here because when that is forged, it does 3 damage to the enemy. So it's going down to 3. All right.
Okay.
So our enemy will go. It will use strike on Dale, so it's going to do 4 damage to you, Dale.
Oh, hold on. Let me draw my 2 cards.
Yeah, you better do that.
Okay, and then I'm going to.
And you can discard to redirect it to Rebecca if you want to.
Okay, I would like to do that, please.
Okay. All right. 4 damage has been hot potatoed over to you. You can discard a card with block to send it back, or you can just take the damage.
I have a buckler, and there it is, Dale.
Nice. All right, so I am taking 4 damage because it's.
You can do the same thing if you've got another blocker, Dale. Otherwise, you could take the 4.
Now, what I like about that ping-ponging back and forth is that eventually you will run out of blocked cards.
Yeah, it's kind of cute because every time you discard a blocker to send it over to the other person, you make it ultimately worse for yourself if it comes back to you.
Yeah. So there's a certain it's a bit of attrition, but you could also be like, you know what, it's time to stop. I'll just take it.
Yes.
Damage.
It is a lot of damage because there's.
And this is not the last fight of the act. Yeah.
Of course, it's probably going to be the last fight we have time for tonight.
Okay.
So you can certainly play it that way if you choose.
I shall do that.
Okay,
I
back to you.
With my nothing.
Back to me. Okay,
oh,
so
okay.
we could...
You're just taking the damage, Dale. You're down to 3.
No. Dale is.
No, she.
Oh, okay.
She's playing the 0 guy. Right. So we could go back and forth until we run out of block cards, then, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then it's only got 3 hit points left. So.
All right. There you go. Oh wait, it really.
Yep. Okay. And I do not have a block card, so I'm going to be taking damage. I go down 4 damage to 2.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, Dale, no.
I'm not dead yet.
And Rebecca, if you've got a pike, you can take it down.
I don't.
Oh no!
Oh, has Dale played this game perfectly?
I guess she has. I have. My only weapon here is this guy. I have a short sword. Wait, what just happened to it? Oh, it went. There it is.
There it is. All right. Down to 1. I guess it is relevant. The enemy's going to do this next turn, but whatever.
Okay. Okay, and I am going to deal 2 damage with my that thingy.
Bam! Well played, Dale.
Thank you, and then I'm also going to reforge something.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have to wrap up there. One comment that I'll make at the end is that the more people play this sort of game, the more they'll are able to sort of look ahead to future turns. Yes. And certainly cards like this Warhammer are just so key to keep around in your hand if you can. It's nice to do a lot of damage, but these are also the things that give you the leverage to actually claim the kill at the end of the fight.
Yeah.
So I'm eager to see people sort of picking that up and being more strategic about card play.
Yeah, there's something cooler than when a player makes a really all right, I'm only gonna deal 2 damage. So it's only got 4 left, so I feel pretty safe. But then you can throw down that Warhammer and say well, all that strategic planning you did was for naught because I had the Warhammer.
Yeah.
All right.
Dale has probably been the person who's played this game in this form the most, right, Lane?
True.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
So no shame in losing to Dale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is I like this a lot. I feel like I did not play well, but it's simple enough that now I kind of understand the game, and I'm like, oh, I would like to play it again. So that I think that makes it a great game.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very
what a coincidence
feedback.
that I just happened to put a Discord link in the chat there right now if anybody wants to play anymore. All right. Well, thank you very much. It's been really delightful to watch. I really appreciate it. Now, beyond anything we discussed so far, I know I'm treading on the end of our time here, but I'm just curious if you had anything last things that confused you or seemed like they could have been explained better. Please let me know.
Right now, you mean?
Yeah.
Is my green hand visible on your screen here?
Yeah, I
It
guess
is.
that.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know what this row of cards is that I'm right here. I don't know what these are for.
Oh,
Perfect. Thank you very much. I will explain that better in the future. Yeah, all these are random cards that pop up. This is the area of the game called the smithy. What these are is they're random enchanted versions of cards. So like when you forge a 3, you could gain a Warhammer, or you could choose to gain one of the magical 3s instead. You can upgrade it, you can like downgrade it, or you can send it over to become a magical version of itself.
So what would the advantage be of having a magical pike?
They have these abilities on the bottom. So this volatile stave, for example, right away when you forge it, you get a potion card as well with it. So you just get something extra. But then also when you play it, if you played a potion that turn, you deal a couple extra damage. So this can be a cheap way to do 5 damage earlier than you normally should.
Oh, okay.
So those cards. Is there any?
I feel like
Oh,
we
I
have
can't
a
quite hear
question
that
coming.
question.
I know, it's so cute. But audio problems, right?
Okay, thank you. I think I get it now.
Cool. All right.
All right.
You know, Elaine,
Unless
we should probably dedicate some time for this, maybe next month, or if we're not doing November, then when IGD comes back in January, to play a full
mean
4-round game of this.
December. If we're not doing December, because it's the holidays.
Right. We may also not be doing November.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
we don't know just yet, but
Okay.
there's a chance this is the last for the year. Although I guess that's really just up to the 3 of us, ultimately, if we want to run it in November. We did run it in December last year, so we could keep going all the way through. So, let us know in the Discord, folks who are watching, if you would greatly miss Twin Cities playtest if we don't run it next month and the one after. But in any case, my point is I would love to play a full all the way through round of this game, even though it would take a good while, just to see it play through all of those strategic choices you make and all that deck building you do in the early rounds, to see how that pays off later on.
You got it, yeah. Because one thing that's going to be so key about this kind of game is making sure that you actually can get paid off. Like if you select a bunch of like potion synergy cards, does that deck actually have time to come together by the end game? And I just have no idea at this point. I sure hope it does, but we're going to have to find out over the next month. But yeah. Thank you so much. Cool. Well, Dale, why don't you start closing us out here?
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and remember that some spiders change colors to blend into their environment.